fuck you doing?
Remember that name? Good pizza with 3 Z's, baby. 3 Z's.
What's going on, everybody? Yo, this week we got a very special guest. The homie Marc from Kalya came through to tell his story. Yes, the Rosin master came through. Told us a story about the come up, his days in Santa Rosa, what they got going on, where they come from, and all the fire they're about to put out. Guys, they're working on some crazy stuff right now. Flavors for days. Wait till y'all see this episode, man. You're gonna love this one. This one's for the Rosin heads. We'll see you on the show. So, Marc, what the hell's going on with Texas, bro?
It's getting wild down there in the South from what I'm seeing.
What's the deal with that, bro?
So I thought it was going to be done. And seeing that bill with the SB3 and having the THCA kind of go away kind of hurt the legalization effort in total. But at the last minute, old Greg Abbott peeled that shit back and stuff. I heard it was like 4 hours before the deadline. And so because of that, it's really opened up the gateway for a lot of potential legalization in the Midwest and maybe even in the United States. And so it's really excited to see that kind of pop off. I have some friends down there. They've been showing me some of the lounges. They're beautiful, as nice as anything I've seen out here in California. And, you know, they got services where you can have an e-rig or just like a regular glass rig dropped off at your table, different types of concentrates, bring your own. Right in like downtown, too. It's not like you're thrown in a warehouse district like a lot of the dispensaries out in our neck of the woods, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting out there. Texas is getting big.
So the THCA was not banned? Or was banned?
It was not. So, at the final hour, it got repealed and got vetoed. And so, basically, what they said is they're going to try to make some type of infrastructure that is going to tax it to some extent, and it is going to make it a little bit harder to access. But still, at the end of the day, they're talking about wiping out $7 billion and 30,000 jobs. So. That's some serious change going away and really impact on the community. So for that to be repealed or, vetoed, it was a blessing.
Yeah. Now, when you say, so they were going to get rid of THCA, they decided not to, and then make it harder to find. Does that mean like it's not going to be in the gas stations or like it has to be at an actual shop? Like, what's the deal?
So I think we're about to find out here at the end of July for sure, but they're probably going to make it to some type of structure like alcohol, where alcohol in the South and a lot of states is regulated to sometimes state stores or even so like these different liquor stores, they have very strict hours where you can't buy liquor on Sundays in Texas. Got you. Deal and stuff. So I think it'll be the same type of deal where it'll be limited hours because like right now you can go to the dispensary and some of them are open till midnight, you know?
Oh, damn.
And you can go pull up and take a fat dab, grab some fire and roll out, you know? So it's right now, it's the land of milk and honey. It's going to change a little bit, but still, it's not going to take it away completely, and it's going to change the picture when we talk about the overall like national dynamic.
Wow.
We already saw Ohio. They went through a similar type of situation where they vetoed their bill right after about 10 days after Texas did. And so we're seeing Ohio open back up, and that could really continue the conversation nationally.
No shit, man.
Come on.
Yo, you know what did not get vetoed that I thought it did? That the new proposal in California to raise the taxes to 19%. I saw a big article that said, hey, it's good for another 5 years. And then July 1st, it went up.
100%.
I Googled that shit too. I was like, wait a fucking minute here.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they still fucking did it, man.
Greed wins again.
You got some answers for us?
I wish, honestly.
No pressure.
It's a bummer because you're seeing California's rec market struggle in a real way, and
as is
100%. And the problem is, it's also led to the compression of prices. And so within that, I was hoping we saw Gavin Newsom. He tried to back it at the final hour, and tried to make some type of play or at least a little bit of publicity around it. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough support, and it didn't get vetoed. And so, yeah, we're now stuck with that 19% on the excise tax in a time where you're seeing, traditional and legacy markets like Humboldt County and Mendocino County face different face struggles they haven't in a long, long time. So it's sad to see, really. I hope California takes a hard look at what's going on nationally and with these different markets, especially talking about like, New York in some ways and seeing how they're attacking like farmers markets and open consumption comparatively to us. If we don't get with the times soon, it's going to just choke out all the small players.
For sure. I think that's the goal for them,
So unfortunately so, you see it in all markets. My dad was in the wine industry for a lot of years, and when he got in there, the majority of wineries were privately owned in California, and now it's under 5%, or it's right around that marker, where these massive conglomerates, the Gallos and Kendall Jacksons of the world, have just bought up all the small guys, as it's been continuously harder to operate in the space.
Wow.
So
that's crazy, man.
I mean, same thing, cars, you look at Lamborghini and Ferrari and stuff. Lamborghini's owned by Audi. It's been sold multiple times. And, what's unfortunate is you're seeing California markets start to commoditize and follow these different mass markets where a lot of the connoisseur brands, they're used as perception builders, and they're used.
Good word.
Yeah, 100%, because that's what it's about. And as I've realized in the legal space, it's about perception, alignment, and leverage. And, they use these top tier brands to have a huge budgets for pace of innovation, so they can innovate in new technologies and then charge a really high premium for them, even if there is little mistakes to polish out. And then at the end, they can, once it starts to become irrelevant, they spend a lot of money, the R&D, that project, they can just kick it down to their mid-tier brand and then kick it on down. And so it keeps more relevancy and they can get more value out of it. And so I'm hoping that, this is the time for us in the industry to kind of get together and build a foundation to prevent that commoditization, to prevent a lot of the sterilization of the industry, and to kind of bring back the things that made Prop 215 so great, the communal aspects, bringing people together.
Yeah, that's for sure, bro. I'm already seeing, this is from one of my sales reps yesterday, that there are like a big, I'm not going to say the name, but a big chain, let's just say, big chain of dispensaries already hitting up their vendors, asking for a 4% reduction on all products just to offset the cost. Like, so this isn't just hitting the stores. This is going to hit brands. This is going to hit owners. This is going to, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to hit the fucking, the people too.
100%.
You know what I mean? This is just a huge fucking dub for everyone, man.
I think I know who you're talking about. And yeah,
he's a big voice.
And
he's for the people. You feel me?
Yes, sir. And unfortunately, we're seeing a time where in the retail market especially, there's this massive, massive race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Where a lot of these retailers, they came from different industries, and they thought that what made them successful, some of the tactics or strategy that made them successful in some of these other industries would work here. Yeah. A lot of the times it didn't. And so the only other way they knew how to compete is with pricing. A lot of these people, they're not educated, or at the time maybe weren't educated enough to understand market trends, understand the culture, and understand what would drive a consumer to come back. And so all they knew how to do is, hey, let's offer massive first time, discounts and try to build structure that way. But all it did is create this price war, like I was talking about before, where you're seeing this race to the bottom, where the biggest chains in the States are usually the ones that are pricing at the lowest.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a fact.
And so I'm hoping, like I said, it's education is one of the biggest things. And that's why, for me, we've tried to stay a little bit away from the competitions, because I appreciate a lot of the people that enter. And what I've seen from the competitions, there's some people like the Proper Doings guys that are doing a great job with the transparency, but others that may not have executed as well in that. And it just drives a lot of animosity and anger between a lot of people that I care about, people that actually care about the industry. They're trying to push quality forward. They're trying to push out great product and be a part of the industry in a meaningful way. And it's like, those are the type of people we need to protect and nurture. It's like, I want to be your friends. I want to take dabs with y'all and go do great dinners and have awesome times and build together, because you are the people I enjoy hanging out with, taking dabs with and smoking. You know, it's
For
like
sure.
you're seeing this other side of the industry come in, like I was talking about before. It's very sterile. It's transactional. It's a numbers game. And, you know, obviously we needed to mature from the traditional side, and we need to get a little bit better about our business acumen. But at the same time, we can't forget where we came from. You know,
hell no.
A lot of this counterculture, you know, rebel type shit that I've always enjoyed, you know.
Oh, bro, that's what makes us us.
Come on.
You know, we were the fucking creeps, the creepy fucking pot dealers lurking in the shadows trying to fucking corrupt your children. You know what I'm saying? That's how they viewed us anyway.
All day. I'm not doing much creeping with my big ginger ass, but, you know, I'm out there. 100%
I was creeping through those Jersey streets, selling to all your kids. Nah, now illegal. Catches at Cookies Harrison, New Jersey.
Yeah, come on. Traditional.
Feel me?
Yeah, cool.
Only place you can get good pizza in New Jersey.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you,
That's
bro.
so sick.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we're actually fresh off of that, bro. I flew out there last weekend, meet the crew, meet the staff. I met the cultivating team. Got to, you know, meet a lot of our customers out there, and it was fucking so dope, bro. It was so dope.
That's awesome.
Shout out to everybody who got a lighter. We did a good pizza Zippo collab. Zippo hit us up for a collab.
Oh, the classic.
Yeah, bro, it's so fire.
That sound is iconic. You can't get away from it. You know,
really
that
was.
open us. That's sick.
Bro, and they let me. I looked through their catalog. I was like, "Yo, what's up with the double torch?" They're like, "Huh, we've never done a double torch with one of our collabs." I'm like, "Well, see what's up." They're like, "Well, yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask." They hit me back like, "Yeah, they okayed it."
Damn.
So it comes in a case. You get the OG setup on the left side with the Zippo torch, and on the right side it's the insert for the double torch. So you just pop it out. You know what I'm saying?
Holy shit,
it's pretty
that's
tight.
fire, bro. Come on.
On the website now at goodpizza.com with 3 Z's.
Oh yeah, well, that's gonna be a collector's item.
No,
I
for
mean,
real.
that's sick.
For real.
It's awesome. You know, just
70 available.
damn.
That's it. Yo, real quick, shout out to Roll Buddies for blessing the table today. If you've never used a bamboo tip, I'm telling you, it changes the whole smoke. Smooth pull, no soggy ends, and they're actually made with real materials. Bamboo, birch, none of that 3D printed nonsense. It's sustainable, clean, and the design is on point too. Roll Buddies is really out here doing it different. Not just another smoking brand, but real innovation. Tap in on the Instagram at Roll Buddies USA. That's at Roll Buddies USA. Tell them Good Pizza sent you.
Yeah, I need to go pick one up.
Yeah, get one, bro.
I'm serious.
They're live, bro.
Yeah, it's like those are iconic brands. You know, we're talking about from the past that are coming together to merge with our culture and shit. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
What a
Bro,
collaboration.
Bro, what a collaboration. I tripped out. Bro, I've been playing with those since I was 12 years old, bro.
All day.
If you would have told me like Zippo would have hit me up for a collab, I would be like, shit. Okay.
Amazing, man. Cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
A sign of things to come.
Yeah, man, that was a good one.
All
That
day.
was a good one. I wasn't mad at that one.
Shit.
Yeah, man.
The New Jersey market seems crazy, dude. Have you spent a lot of time out there before on like the traditional side, or?
My whole life, brother.
Yeah,
My whole life. Since 96, bro.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been getting busy out there for a long ass time, bro. Started out with a QP. My cousin Anthony, God bless the dead, he stole from my Uncle Kev, who's in all the videos that we just dropped for cookies. He came through.
Yeah, cool.
He came through. And, you know, I never looked back, bro.
That's amazing.
Never looked back, man.
Once you know type deal. You know,
Sure,
you
you
get
know.
that feeling. You get that little gut feeling sometimes. You just got to commit.
Man. Well, for me, bro, like, you know, I come from a single parent household. You know, mom's fucking busting her ass, and, you know, I just got tired of asking for shit. You know what I'm saying? I read the writing on the wall very fast. I'm like, oh, I got to get it myself.
That's right.
And, you know, all my friends were hustling already. So, you know, the block's always hiring,
Come on.
you know? So I jumped in. Never looked back, kid.
That's what it's about.
Had a good ass run, too. Still running.
I was about to say, we're still here.
Running. Still here, baby.
Grateful to be, you know what I'm saying? Come on.
Grateful for sure. But enough about me. Let's dive into your story, man. We got Marc from Kalya in the building. What's up, my guy?
What's going on,
Thanks
boss?
for coming through. If y'all know how long we've been planning this, bro, this is a special day, man. We've been trying to put this together for a minute, bro.
Too long.
And I'm glad it happened. All podcasts have their divine timing, and I'm sure this is a great time for you guys, man. So let's bring it back, man. Let's talk about the come up, bro. Where you from? Where'd you grow up?
So I was originally born up in Oregon.
Okay.
And kind of what brought me down to California was my dad. He was working with Skunk Works. Have you ever heard of Skunk Works?
I have not.
So
Is that a cannabis company?
There is a brand called Skunkworks now,
Okay.
so shout out to my boy over at Jetty. But no, Skunkworks is a subsector of Lockheed Martin that develops military technology.
Oh, no shit. Nice.
Yeah, and so my dad was an engineer. He's working in the propulsion department, and he was a part of the team that developed the F-22 Raptor. And
wow.
so he was working with like Boeing and a few different. It was a joint project from a few different companies. But anyway, my dad went to the my dad went to the offices in downtown Detroit, and he was there for a meeting, and the guy pulled up in a brand new Ferrari. My dad was like, "What do you do?" And the guy was like, "I'm in sales." And shit like that. And right there, my dad was like, well, what the fuck am I doing in this engineering shit? Like, I want more. I want that next level, being competitive duty. Played college sports at Oregon State. Originally went there for football and blew out his knee, and then played on the tennis team, weirdly enough. But a very competitive guy. And so again, always wanting that next level and shit. So he went out and tried to pursue a sales job. Ended up working for a company called Rexam. And his big claim to fame there was he landed the Clorox account. And so if you look on the back of any Clorox jug and stuff, it says Rexham on the back there and stuff. So, to this day. And so that was big for him. And it put him in a position to get promoted. And it was between him and another guy, and he ended up losing out. And so my dad was looking for that next job. He was getting recruited to do commercial real estate out in Indianapolis. And he met this guy on a plane, and he ended up getting connected to what would ended up being a partner of his, a guy named John First. And they had a company called Encore Glass. Okay. So they were starting with these factories out of Tijuana to make wine bottles. Okay. And so my dad just jumped in headfirst, sold up the house, everything, and moved down to Santa Rosa. It was between Santa Rosa and Benicia. And this was when I was in 4th grade going into 5th grade. And so by 5th grade, everybody usually has their little group of homies and shit. Everybody has their little friend group. I'm kind of the outcast. Gotcha. And so my first friends are other outcasts and shit. Sure. And so while I came from like upper middle class, my first friends didn't. And they showed me a different side of the world where, they're eating Cheerios and water and, Dale bread with ranch from the shit and that type of deal. Just a different, no doubt, a different lifestyle. And it opened up my eyes real quick. And so on top of that, these guys were around a lot of people smoking weed and cigarettes and shit. And some of my first memories with these guys were standing by gas stations and looking for, unhomed people to come by and hey, we got some extra money, will you buy us a little 6-pack, will you buy some clove cigarettes or whatever and stuff, just do my thing, trying to fit in and become friends with these guys, and ended up becoming some of my best friends. And so because of that, the summer of 5th grade going into 6th grade, I here it comes. I started smoking weed. It was my first time smoking weed. It was a little wood pipe or whatever, probably a little bit too young, but whatever, and so God, whatever that is, 9, 10 years old and that type of range and stuff, 5th grade, going maybe that 11, I can't remember, sometime back then, but
some wild low number. I was 11, I feel you.
Yeah, so just a little young, but basically I knew right then. The first time, most people are like, "Oh, I didn't really get high. Oh, I got lit."
Nice.
I got.
You knew how to inhale. Little ass knew how to inhale.
I got lit, and so I became a little stoner and shit like that, And so going into middle school, YouTube was just kind of popping off, and I got on there and started doing my little research and found a guy named Dave Warden who had a YouTube channel called The Weed Report, and another guy named Chubbs who had a channel called Nuggetry. And these guys in like 2009, 2008 were reviewing Illadelph glass and like really high-end type of glass. They're going to Champs before Age was really around, and Champs was the most relevant type of glass show type in the industry. And like it really exposed me to a lot of the industry quickly. And from there, I would just sit on the computer and look up more and more shit about the industry. And I found rollitup.com and Toke City, which were massive forums back then. I don't know if you ever heard of Roll It Up.
But no, I never have.
pretty much every relevant breeder, rare dankness, TGA, subcool, DNA. I mean, a lot, Barney's Farms, like a lot of the biggest names were just on these farms with these massive, massive traditional growers.
Shout out Barney's Farms.
Yeah, 100%.
He's coming on the show.
Come on, the OG legend of the game. Yeah, you know, I mean, the strain hunters, all these guys, if they would all be posting and, you know, just showing a little behind the scenes of their craft. And so that's kind of how I really got my start in the industry. Is so, you know, getting out of middle school, I ended up going to a Catholic school called Cardinal Newman in Santa Rosa. I went there to play basketball. And so I ended up meeting these two kids. It's these two little blonde hair kids come down, and they're named Tyler Jacob Moses. And they basically ended up becoming good friends with them, and they're like, hey, you want to smoke one day? And so we all get together and go over for a little sesh, and I pull out my little sack, and they're like, yo, your weed's trash. I'm like, what? I'm a little soul-gen. I never heard that in my life. So I'm like, well, what do you got? And, you know, they pull out this jar, and it's some AAA Granddaddy Purple. And he was like, my dad's name is Ken Estes. He created, not the creator, the breeder behind Granddaddy Purple.
Shit, you were talking Ken's son?
Exactly. His twins and stuff like that in Santa Rosa. And so, you know, Ken is prominent dude, controversial in his own right and stuff, but little did I know, I'm just a little kid over here staring at some AAA GDP. I'm like, holy shit, this is fire, like, what's up? And so you know, quickly became these guys friends. And another childhood friend of theirs, Gabe Swent, shout out, who was up there in Clear Lake with them. And so we formed a little bond, and that drove my knowledge even further into industry. And so from there, I'd get on rollitup.com, and I would sit there on the forums, and I built up a little reputation back there. I had my little name and stuff. And there was a guy named Kyle Cushman. I don't know if you ever remember him back in the day, Buds and Roses and stuff. He was doing this thread with a guy named Matt Rise about the theory behind veganic growing, and if veganic growing could be possible. And so I was following the thread, and I saw this dude, Matt Rise, post about how he was in Sonoma County, and I hit him up. And I quickly started, you know, getting in contact with this dude, and we ended up becoming friends. And have you ever heard of Matt Rise?
I have, and I'm trying to picture him. I know I've heard of him before.
So in my opinion, I consider Matt Rise one of the godfathers of modern day West Coast solventless. And so the three people I would put in that category, really, it's Nick T and Matt Rise, and then you could say Frenchie on the side, and then Brett Maverick, kind of coming in a little bit later, but Brett spread a lot of great information online. And I'm sure there was other people doing these techniques way before them, but these are the people, at least I saw, really push the information, push the education. And so basically, what Matt and Nick T had really figured out was an evolution in Mila and Bubbleman's techniques. And so for them, it was about opening up the surface area of the hash and getting to the dry quicker. And by that way, by opening up the surface area, they would either microplane it or sieve it. They could also refine some of the microparticulate and some of the more unwanted aspects of the hash and refine it and really try to isolate just gland heads. And so both Matt Rise and Nick T would come out with hash that was at least posted online, some of the first dabbable hash. And this was before rosin and stuff. And we're talking 2010, 11, really in this range, you know. And so, again, I didn't understand exactly who he was at the time, but it was awesome to be able to learn from Matt. He showed me how to microplane hash back then, and he also showed me how to make shatter. And so back in, you know, those era, the education was so low on solventless, nobody really wanted it. Matt Rise, his hash was coined ice wax. That was his terminology. And so he'd have this ice wax, this 70 micron. Not a lot of people used the 90 micron back then. He would have it on the shelf for $40 a gram. Nobody wanted it. Nobody cared, really, and shit like that.
Because BHO was prevalent.
Exactly. And when I say nobody wanted it, it's like the true heads, the very small percentage of educated people that were in the industry would come up and search for it, but the average consumer just wanted his shatter line.
Gotcha.
And so he helped drive this narrative between, hey, solventless versus BHO and stuff. And I didn't understand it. Again, Matt Rice is a controversial dude online, to say the very least. But, in person, he's an awesome dude. And, he was trying to strategize on how to gain more publicity on solventless. So if he did this competition or tried to drive this wedge between BHO and solventless people, it'd get more people to try to at least attempt solventless, and at least be like, well, what's he talking about?
What is it?
Why would he say that?
What makes it solventless?
Exactly. And so by him doing that, it really helped drive some spotlight on it. But at the end of the day, BHO still remained king.
Yeah.
And so
for a minute.
100%. And so, going out throughout high school, my summer job was I'd go up to Alaska. And I would do sockeye salmon fishing up there. I do set net fishing.
Okay.
And so my grandpa's owned a business there since the 80s. What you do, instead of having a net that it gets thrown over a boat and gets dragged on like the ocean floor, you have a running line. So it's about 1,000-yard line that runs out from the beach, and it has some buoys on it. And so what you'll do is you'll go out there with a little skiff or a little like a saltwater raft with a modified frame on it, and you'll have your net in there. They're about 100 yards long or 150 yards long.
Okay. And
it'll have two parts to the net. The top part of the net will be lined with corks, and the bottom line of the net will be weighted. They call it the lead line.
Okay.
And so what'll happen is, since you're so far away from the equator, the tides go really far out for miles. Where there used to be 40 plus feet, 100 plus feet of water, it's just sand for miles. These huge flats. It's insane to see. If you've ever been around a bay.
And where is this?
This is in Alaska.
Oh, this is Alaska. Gotcha.
So, Igiik, to be specific. So you'll take you go to Anchorage, take an hour flight to a town called King Salmon, and you take about a 45-minute flight to the beach. You land on the beach, and you get dropped off there. There's one place that has electricity. It's a cannery. That's Japanese owned. And so they have a deal with all the fishermen where you can ship up 2 40-foot containers, one frozen and one dry up there.
Okay.
And basically the frozen container, that's all your food for your trip up there. It's about 7-8 weeks. And then your dry, you bring up what you need to survive: guns, cars, whatever. People bring up everything in these containers and stuff. And basically you're seeing all these like shanties. They're just like really shacks made by fishermen that are dotted along the bluff of this beach, and they have a bunch of 40-foot containers on them where they house like 4-wheelers and nets and everything.
Okay.
And stuff. And so basically, like I said, the tides will come in, will drag these rafts out there, and then when the water starts to float, the rafts will connect on the net, and the net will get connected on that 1,000-yard line that's running out into the sea. Mm-hmm. And so the water will come in, it'll float up the top part of the net lined with the corks. But the bottom part of the net, since it's weighted, it'll stay down and it'll create a wall. Okay. It'll suspend a wall. And so these, the sockeye, they're running from Russia to go up the King Salmon River and these different types of rivers to spawn. Okay. And so they're running really close to the bay. So they'll come right in, they'll collide with the net, they get tangled up, and then we have to go back out and pick them out. And stuff.
How do you get them out, with a handheld net?
So this part's a little bit hectic, to say the least. Yeah, to say the least. But so what you'll do is you have this raft, or some people use these really small skiffs, and you put the 1,000-yard running line on it, and you pull yourself out there. And when it's really harsh weather, it can get real dangerous, And you have a little like 5-horse kicker on the back, little like Honda or something. So you pull yourself out there, and then you grab the top part of the net and you stretch it over the middle of the boat. And somebody has to step over that net. And when they do, especially when the waves are rocking and shit like that, it's a real dangerous point in the whole setup. And so they step over the net, and then they get on the other side, and they're facing
step
backwards.
On what, bro?
They step over the net in the raft. There's like these 2 metal benches. It's a modified frame on top of a saltwater raft. Okay. And so there's like a little bucket in the middle with 2 benches, and then there's a brailer on the middle, on the inside, and it has hooks on each corner. And so then you step over the net, and then I'll basically be sitting looking back at you. Yeah. There's the engine behind you, and the net's in the middle of us with all these salmon, and we have to slide ourselves along the net and pick out the salmon. They're all tangled and shit, all dying, and you have to pick them out and stuff and throw them down. Once you get about 1,200, 1,400 pounds in your net, you dismount, which again is another dangerous part. You have to bunch up the net. Somebody has to step over it, and when it's rocking and waves and stuff, stuff get real hectic, and then you jump over it, and then you fire up your little kicker motor and you wheel on it, or you putt on in into the bay.
Putt on it.
Exactly. And then you slide into the sand, and basically what we'll do is we have a Kubota tractor. It comes in there. It has like a forklift, a little hitch on it. And so it'll drop down. We hook the brailer onto it and lift it up. And we'll either have a four-wheeler with a little trailer and a little tote that you can place the salmon in, and we drive it to the cannery, or the cannery has old World War II trucks. And they have them with modified cranes on them, and they can come over and they can weigh them, and they give you a little ticket that you go to the end of the at the end of the day, and you put in their system.
Wow.
And stuff. And
they say cannery. They're chopping it, filleting it, canning it there.
100%, and just getting ready for fillets for like Kirkland Signature, what have you. A lot of those like wild sockeye fillets. That's one of the big plants there and stuff. Man. And then you'll see the real high end guys for like real high end sushi. They charter planes because even stuff that comes from the cannery that can market themselves as organic and wild, a lot of the times they get dipped in a certain preservative, and it takes away from the quality of the meat. And so the high-end sushi spots, they'll charter their own planes. These bad boys will land right on the sand on the beach. They'll get to the cannery with chest, and they'll ship it out, and they'll fly right into Texas or LA or wherever and drop that salmon.
Wow, shit.
So that's why you're paying a premium for that. That little salmon special out there, the Toro salmon or whatever.
Yeah. So that's what Toro salmon is.
Or that's like the fatty salmon. Belly.
Excuse me, I said the same thing twice.
Yeah, and stuff like that. But it's just like, again, it's all rated on a certain quality, so it's a number 1 through 5. And it's been some years. I can't remember if 1 is great or 5 is great, but 1 is like a show fish, that something you'd see like in a Costco or something on ice, at a nice deli and stuff. And then a 5 would be considered like cat food. That's like it has big scars from seal bites or whatever. It's not the meat's been compromised.
Gotcha.
But still, you see those little like salmon can things for the cats or whatever and stuff.
Cat food is 5. Wow.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's pretty wild, man. That you did that type of fishing in fucking Alaska, bro.
All day, and
cool.
It gave me some good bread. It was good paying doing those types of jobs, and so that's what kind of
working.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this was up in when I was in high school, and so I would
your high school days, got it.
Yeah, I'd save up some of the money there, knowing I wanted to be in the industry. I wanted to, seeing how the GDP guys were exploding at the time. They were opening up multiple dispensaries. They had one in Hilltop. They were opening up one in Venice. They were doing big seed plays out in Europe and stuff like that. That's when like Attitude Seed Bank and all these guys were just at the power and stuff. And it was just a cool time in the industry. And for me to even be a little fly on the wall, being over at Ken's and, seeing people like Bodie Genetics and these different guys walk into the room and stuff. The Mendo Dope Boys filmed a whole album in Ken's backyard. And so like one of their garden albums is all filmed in Ken's backyard and stuff like that. So like seeing these different guys kind of grow up in the industry and shit was great. And I wanted to be a part of it. And so after I graduated high school, I ended up going to a public school, Santa Rosa High, and graduating from there in 2012. I knew I wanted to be in the industry right away. So Matt had already shown me how to make shatter. I knew about like across internationals, kind of the whole setup that you needed. And so I was going to start doing both.
The Cross International. I had one of those.
Yes, sir. The one I had didn't even have serial numbers on it. It was just written in marker. That's how old it was and shit like that. Before they changed out any of the knobs or anything on it. It was just like the old black knob, everything like that. Yeah, it was an old one, the old .9s before they even started doing big sizes. So those are fond memories, the old Across International.
Yeah.
And stuff, inaccurate, but still fun. But yeah, those shatter days, I mean, that was the beginning of the concentrate industry in the whole. You saw shatter and kind of high-end glass blow up together at the same time and stuff, where when I first got in, AK and like a few of these guys were charging maybe 10,000 or above, but everybody else wasn't getting near those tickets. And then you saw shatter just explode. And it was awesome, and
it did.
Solventless was on the side, and it was getting had a little bit of a fight into it and shit. But really, shatter had its moment, and so I formed a company called Medicine Man Extracts with my partner at the time, a guy named Harrison, who has a brand called Hash Engineers now.
Okay.
And so we were out of basically he was out of Sonoma State, and that's where I met him.
Okay.
And Sonoma State has produced a lot of great hash makers in the game. Santa Rosa.
Is that right?
Oh, 100%. Sonoma State, Santa Rosa, and that whole little strip is home to a lot of big-time hash makers, a lot of people behind the scenes of a lot of big companies in the industry today.
That's cool.
A couple people that were really good friends with us, First Class Concentrates and E.T., Elliot and shit at E.T. Extracts, which him and Full Flavor were killing it back then. I mean, just an absolute force. And so, again, it was cool to see. And so... basically, we started out as Medicine Man, and we wanted to go up to CCA. That was the home of Matt Rice. CCA was the first dab bar in California.
Wow.
It was up in Hopland. It was co-owned by a guy named John, who has a brand currently today called Higher Ground Cannabis. He's the dude that bred like Starburst 36 that both us and 710 Labs run.
That's so fire, bro.
And all that type of deal. So... basically, like the KC36 and a lot of legendary strains were born there. It was just a mecca of hash on the West Coast because like Subcool and Frenchie, all these guys lived really close. And so they would all go and hang out there. And you would just go there and you'd see Matt Rise and Frenchie, Beazle, Dorian was a manager there. And so his partner Taylor, which is Little Lake Valley Seco, would be there. Like Baker's Bubble, Greaser, Extracts, Mellow Fellow. I mean, there's just so many names of the past and stuff that would just like all hang out there, talk shop and stuff. It was just an awesome time in the industry,
What a time to be alive.
It really was.
Deal.
And so that was kind of our first drop is up at CCA. And again, I call that just the golden age of hash. There was no ego class, no all of that bullshit. Everybody was just friends.
Yeah.
There was just so much opportunity for everybody. Nobody cared about the competition as much. Everybody's eating. And so that was just a great time for us. There was a legendary dispensary that kind of popped up from there and shit like that in that time period called San Jose Organics. They had another spot called Vallejo Organics. And as far as legendary for hash makers, you could pull up there and they would take whatever hash you needed, whatever you had. And shit, you just go in there with a notepad and you would write how much of each flavor you had, how much you wanted, and they would just cash you out.
Straight up, no questions.
No question. They have a little calculator there, boop, 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 and fucking show you there to make sure it's right, cash you out. And that was my first exposure to any real traditional type of activity, or real, type of big work like that.
Yeah.
And so... because for me, I'd always heard when growing up about brokering and stuff like, oh, if anybody's going to do boxes or if anybody's going to do big work, they're usually trying to rob you. Be careful, or they're a fed. You know what I'm saying? Like, be careful. Usually the deals don't happen. Blah blah blah.
That's true.
It's like, that last part's very true. You know what I'm saying? About 1 out of 10 if you're lucky type deal.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
shit.
saying? But again, so I've always stayed away from anybody doing big work and stuff like that. I always rather do the smaller plays growing up in high school and do my little thing. And so San Jose Organics kind of opened up the door where every hash maker that was around, which there was only a few, it was like Banff Extracts, Full Flavor, First Class, Beazle, us, Matt Rise, West Coast Kier, Philip RX, maybe a couple more. We all would rush to this place, and just get cashed out. And so that was really just a cool time in the industry, honestly. But from there, what kind of evolved and stuff was two parts. It was the Secret Cup, and the competitions opened up. The first Secret Cup came out to the West Coast. Revere Glass, who was a legend in the industry, hosted huge parties out there in Berkeley for a lot of big names. He was helping host it. And so all these hash makers came in the room. A bunch of people entered, and it was just one category. There was no like multiple categories back then or anything. And I'll always remember this. I can't even remember who won first place. I think it might have been Beazle, or he might have even won second. But they call third place and they say, hey, it's OG Eddie Lepp from Boo Boo's Bubble. And this girl walks on stage. And at the time, this is 2012 going to 2013, or, that type of year. There's not a lot of women in the industry.
Sure.
And there's not a lot of solventless makers. And so she comes up and with her boyfriend, Brandon, who was third gen family. and shit like that at the time. Yeah, and Kelsey was the hash maker. And so she comes and gets this trophy. She steps off, and all these guys, whoa, like, that's crazy that somebody, one, it was awesome to see a women win, but like, you know, two, it was crazy to see that it was solventless, because BHO was perceived at the time as being, you know, superior. And so you fast forward to December, the Emerald Cup comes down to Santa Rosa for the first time. And
what year was that?
I want to say 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was up at Tim Blake's spot in Laytonville for years. And then, yeah, that's when the real party, for those of you, that was, again, the golden era of the industry and stuff, where the competition was one thing, but really it was just a celebration, a harvest celebration, a celebration of still being in the industry, being an outlaw, fighting the good fight, and having a great time doing it type deal, you know? And so then after it was at Tim's spot, it went to Redway for a year, and then it went down to Sonoma County, the Sonoma County Fairgrounds. And so it was the first year they did that, and they put a huge effort into it. They had Darby home blow the trophies and stuff. They were beautiful, beautiful trophies. They're like the donut inlines with cactus pull and amber perps. They were sick. And so, again, we go to that competition that year. That's where I met Franco, rest in peace, strain hunter. I got to hang out with him for a few hours, kick it. He pulled out some nugs out of a pocket and stuff like that. He just out of a sweatshirt, little pocket nugs, some land race pocket nug special too. You know, it was awesome. Just like some really fruity, hazy smelling sativa. I can't remember where he said it was from, but it was cool to kick it with him and his girl. And, you know, it was just a great event overall. And so we go to the competition. My buddy T. Beazle, Dorian's partner at the time, he had won the last two Emerald Cups for the solventless. The one in Redway and the one over at Tim's spot. And so he was expecting to do really well again and stuff. And so he put in some entries. I came there as his homie to support him. And he goes up, and they announce the awards. First and second place, Platinum Girl Scout cookies, OG Eddie Lepp from Boo Boo's Bubble and Brandon. And sure enough, there comes Third Gen Family, and Boo Boo's up on the stage, and they win first and second place for the Emerald Cup. And again, that was kind of the birth of what was about to happen, where Taylor, it was like, hey, let's have a huge party at my house. Everybody on your way back up north, stop on by. It's up in Willits. Everybody came up there and mingled. And that year, I saw Fields and Tony had entered in the Emerald Cup as Rainbow Sherbet. I think they placed like 8th or 9th. If you go back that year, you can see their ticket. And they ended up connecting with Kelsey and Brandon. And I got to see that whole kind of relationship come together.
Wow, you saw the beginning of that? That's crazy.
It come to all together and all that type of deal and stuff. So it was really cool. And again, just a great time in the industry. Everybody loved everybody type deal, where that was, I mean, a force to reckon with. When everything was good and Brandon, Fields, Tony, and all that crew was running strong, I mean, they came out and it was tough to beat. They were just awesome. And so, yeah, it was cool to see that Emerald Cup and to see how that kind of progressed and shit like that. And so,
this was pre-Z or post-Z?
This was basically when Z was...
When Z was happening.
Yeah, when Z was happening. This is the birthing of the Z and stuff, because and this is just speculation on my part, but I think they realized that at the time, especially the dry flower of Z, it wasn't aesthetically there, you know? Yeah. And the education behind it wasn't there, where people wouldn't care about what it looked like. And so it was easy enough to put it in hash. They could still present the flavor, but they didn't have to hold themselves to the look.
Got it.
And stuff. And fortunately, it tasted amazing in hash. You know, it was, to this day, my favorite strain. And so, again, it was really cool to see that kind of happen. And that opened up the doors for solventless to continuously get more spotlight. With the Z coming out there, people wanted to try solventless now, and so you started to get a little bit more attention. And then you saw a couple years later in 2015 when Solventless Mind started putting out the tech about the potential behind rosin. And again, a lot of other people did this type of stuff, you know, probably years and years before, and there's probably a bunch of them. But as far as people that wanted to educate the market, you know, one of the things about the traditional market that has hurt it as we've progressed is the gatekeeping. Is, you know, and again, I've lived by that code. I get the game, and I've dealt with it for years. Is, you know, I introduce you to you. I need my points. I need $1 on every transaction. I need my cents on every transaction in perpetuity. And if you don't do it, you're not my friend. And not only that, sometimes you're my enemy type deal.
Right,
in a real
let's
way.
bring that back.
And stuff. And so it's like
Game's missing that, bro.
Oh, 100%.
A lot of people are not eating that should be eating.
100%. And again, it was the code, but from what I've seen too, it's just that is no other industry operates that way. And so we had to find a different way to be able to make sure everybody can dip their beak without having to be as aggressive about it. Yeah. And on the other half of it, what that also did is it prevented a lot of innovation in the market, because it prevented maybe two different groups to get together and be able to progress a technique forward and stuff that, because there's a lot of people. I mean, I'm sure we can all think about some events where their out-of-state customer or a big client came into town and the broker in between's over here sweating bullets, like standing next to the grower, standing next to the client the whole time, like over their head and shit like that. So anxious. Yep. And stuff. And, it's like if you're doing real business, you got to bring value to the table, whether you're brokering, whether you're going to do and stuff like that. If you, a lot of these people, unfortunately, that I've seen in the industry, they just wanted to hand off the relationship and collect and stuff. And it's like, it's a balance, because I believe that. I mean, I don't believe in circumventing anybody. I believe everybody, deserves finder fees and respect and deserves their count and shit like that. But at the end of the day, when it came to a point, what you saw is there's actual money on the table, but there's 4 or 5 people in between. There's so many brokers in between that nothing ever really gets done. Yep. And shit like that, because everybody's fighting and shit. And that's what really hurt the industry from progressing. And that's what hurt the education in it. And to a point where there's not really any good qualitative scale, And so you look at different industries where they have objective third parties, where you can go in and say, hey, that's a 3-star Michelin rated restaurant or a Michelin rated restaurant. Like, if I go, no matter if I'm in Europe or if I'm in America, if I go and have a 1-star, there's some type of expectation of quality and stuff. In our industry, you don't really see that at all, where THC doesn't mean much and stuff, terpenes don't mean much. Terpenes only house a portion of the compounds that produce flavor, as we're starting to get educated.
Tell us more.
Yeah, and I know there's a few people out there in the industry way more educated on me, Cannabis Chem, Riley, a few people over in these labs and stuff. But, when you're talking about esters and flavonoids, I mean, there's a lot of different compounds out there that actually produce flavor that are discounted just because there's no education behind them.
Wow.
And on top of that, terpenes are caustic, and they're definitely not healthy, especially at high concentrations, but they're hydrocarbons. And so that's also why they work well with extraction. That's why butane was used for extraction, is because terpenes are hydrocarbon, and butane can easily grab onto that hydrocarbon and strip.
Okay.
And stuff like that. And it takes together the majority of the cannabinoids with it, and then your whole objective after that is just to, break off the hydrocarbon, or break off the butane and stuff, and preserve as much terpenes and different types of compounds that are within it that are fragile in that concept, And so for me, I think about the education in this industry. It's education and talent are the two hardest things, especially in the rec market. And stuff is one, the majority of talent made so much money in the traditional side of things that it's hard for them to see what could be if they become disciplined again and revert back to making not as much money as they maybe once did, and trying to go for a greater good. And, I've always found that this industry and stuff, you have a lot of great people, but again, when there's so much money on the table, it's easy to be drowned in opportunity.
Absolutely.
And so, and on the other flip side, you have the educational aspect, where because of the gatekeeping side of things, people don't want to talk about the quality markers. And that's why it's refreshing to hear people like Proper Doinks actually go out there and be objective, knowing that it may not be the popular thing amongst people that they call friends. So it's hard to sit there and be objective with people in an industry that's heavy on like job bless and positivity, and say, that didn't hit the mark, that wasn't as good and stuff, and have a educated reason on why, and not just make it so subjective. And that's the problem. There's not a lot of data points to hit on. They're like, well, why doesn't it smoke well? Well, the smokability factor and stuff like that, blah, blah, you can start to point to it, but if you're looking for data points, not a lot of it's there. And so you need to have these trusted sources to be able to create these barometers. So if somebody goes and hits a 95 point good pizza over in Cali and they see 95 point for good pizza in New Jersey, they know exactly what they're going to get. There's consistency.
Yeah.
And that's what's really missing, especially amongst the luxury brands is, I tell people, like, you don't buy a bad bottle in 1942, or you very rarely see bad high-end brands like Hermes and a Louis Vuitton roll off the shelf. So because there's certain qualitative controls that they put in place to make sure that when you're paying a premium that you're going to get what you expect every time.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things, especially in the rec market, when you don't have a lot of control of your supply chain, when you're talking about distribution and the shelves and stuff like that, that's one thing that's hard to control, is that consistency of your product every time, making sure it's a great batch and not just one fire batch.
Yeah.
And so, you talk about scale too, it's a whole nother project and shit.
No, it is. It is. I mean, because once the product leaves your facility, it goes to testing, then it goes to a distro, and then it goes to, say it goes to a chain, and that chain has 6 stores. They might have a distro that they store it at, and it's 90 fucking degrees in there. Tough. And they don't drop shit right away, all the stores. Like you think your shit's going to the store, it's going to be dropped that next day. No. They might want to wait till Friday, or they might want to clear off a little inventory first. So your shit could literally sit for like a week or two before it even hits their shelf. And it already cooked in that distro, so it's getting older. The weed already starting to suck, and it's just like
100%.
It's a major problem. It's a major problem.
And then you think about the pre-roll game, and then I think about hash holes. Is like, it sucks. There's so many great rollers in the industry, and I try to figure out all the time how to get more people to participate with high-end hash holes and great pairings, but you just run into that exact issue where testing costs X amount of dollars, $400 to $500.
Yep.
Well, you want to try to reduce the cost per unit on your testing, so you want to make at least a couple hundred units.
Yep.
But you do 200 units plus 2 grams per flower and stuff. That's right under a pound that you got to sit there, grind up, prep, and then make sure the hash is prepped. And then, like you said, you go down the supply chain of hoping your distro moves it quick, hoping the distro of the major chain gets into the stores quickly, and that the temperature is in some type of relative good aspect all the way throughout. It's tough. It's tough. And so, again, for me, I'm hoping things like the DTC services and like we do, like the club and shit, which is a monthly service and stuff, where we could prep things in a way where it's a lot more fresh than what could be happening at your average store, or ways to get these luxury guys, especially in the hash hole space, to participate a little bit more.
Definitely, bro.
And then, of course, events too. I think that's where really you see somebody like Bruno rolls, shines and stuff, and a lot of these guys are finding their own different spin on it, where they're creating these interactive live rolling type of activations where it really brings people in and it makes them understand the craft a little bit more, and it also guarantees that quality every time.
Yeah, because you can have a batch that we passed in QC and you don't know how to roll a joint properly. It's all loose and shitty. It's gonna burn like dog shit. You're not gonna get the flavor. It might not even be a white ash or a drippy resin ring, which isn't end all be all, but like that's typically what happens when you got a smoking batch. You know what I'm saying? And that's also an issue.
All day.
It's also a fucking issue.
All day, man. So, going back on the old bullshit, just on my old little adventure and stuff, the other part that I kind of got to see for the first time, and this is starting at the 2013, 2014 era, was my first exposure to out-of-town clients. The OT, as they say.
OT.
And so really how it started is I had a buddy call me up, and he was like, hey, do you guys have any extra pounds of shatter around? I can get a good ticket for him. I'm like, for sure, send your guy down. And so they send this dude down to meet with us, and he comes through the door and he's like, hey, I'll cash you guys out. I'll be back in 10 days. Whatever you guys make, I'll do the same at whatever, at 8,000 for golds and 10,000 for blondes. I was like, awesome. Those are great pricing back in like 2013. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, dude, we'll see back then. So he comes back 10 days, cashes us out again. And he was like, hey, this is going to be one of the last times I'm going to be out here for the work. I'm going to send one of my guys. He's my right-hand man. So this dude comes out, ended up becoming good friends with them, and picks up this order, and he had a bunch of flour with him. And I was like, oh, man, where are you taking all this? And he's like, to Texas. And I was like, hell yeah. Never been to Texas. And he was like, yeah, so I get 3 boxes fronted to me per week up in Chico. And then I come on down here and I shop for oil, and then I get it all back down south. And I was like, well, man, 3 boxes, like that's a lot of weight. How do you get it back there? And he was like, oh, I use flyers. And I was like, what's a flyer? And he was like, oh, so it's easy. I get 2 29-inch suitcases. He's like, never American Tourister. Everybody has their own theory. He's like, never hard case. And I vac seal these pounds. You ever see like, the vac seal little white bars for measurement? I use like 4.5 bars. And you wind up the little neck of a turkey bag. You dump it in there. You do a light seal, wipe it down, and triple seal it up. And he's like, you can stuff each suitcase about 20 pounds. And then if it's
That's accurate, about 20. Yeah.
And he's like, and then I'll throw, some clothes for a dude, or throw some clothes for a girl, depending on who it is. Get them on the first flight out, making sure they look professional. I was like, bullshit. You don't fucking do that. I was like, that's crazy. No, you know, he's like, yeah, I got somebody coming out tomorrow. I'll show you what's up. And sure enough, he lands and stuff, vac seals them up, stacks up these cases. Wow. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to throw the slabs right on top. It's real thin, you see? Boom, throws it right on top. 4 hours later, dude's getting a call like, yeah, I just touched down. What's up? You want me to head over to Old Boys? Blah, blah, blah. And his office, he's like, yeah, I got a dude coming in 2 days. He's going to do the same thing. Like, I send about 5 people a week, and then I have a big driver. And I was like, that was my first exposure to what I call like a level 2 trapper.
Yeah. When I seen that game for the first time, I was like, bro, you guys are fucking crazy.
Wild. That's like getting out of shipping and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's like starting where you either have drivers, your own little drivers, or you have...
you got TP on the truck.
Yeah. That's what I call level 3, is when you start to go with big trucks and shit like that. When you're starting to deal with the big weight and stuff, that's like a different animal and shit.
It is.
It's a little stressful for my taste, but level 2 was fun.
Same.
Yeah, level 2 was where I kind of stayed with and stuff, and so it was just interesting to kind of see that gambit. And for me, I'm always an anxious flyer and shit like that. So I'm like, if you guys come out here and shop, like we're medical out here, you can put down the cash, whatever you do with it, whatever.
Yep.
And so. That was kind of my first deal with Old Texas, and it was funny. It took me a few years to get out to Austin, but Austin has ended up becoming one of my favorite cities. I love some Texas.
Everybody says that, bro. I got to make it to Austin, man.
It's just the accessibility, man. Like you go to Miami, you go to New York or LA and stuff, you want to get into some of the higher end clubs, or you want to just get into a fun type of spot in general.
Yeah.
You got to know somebody. You got to be on a list. You got to have the res and shit like that. Austin is just way more accessible. They know that they have every major college. People from East Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Christian, everybody comes to Austin to party. Mm-hmm. Little Waco, all that type of shit. And so they cater towards accessibility, where you don't have to be necessarily somebody to go out there, fucking get a great table and have a great night, and it's not even it's gonna cost you a fraction of any place, Vegas, any of that stuff.
Nice.
And so again, when it comes to accessibility, and then what's also cool about it is just the amount of nightlife. Especially growing up in Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa is old money. It's that old wine shit, so we have no nightlife. And so going out to a place like Austin or whatever just blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, this is different.
That's tight. That's tight.
So that was that opened up a whole world for me, where we showed a few of our friends the flying and all that type of shit. And then people started going everywhere, Chicago, Minnesota, New York, Miami, I said Minnesota, surprisingly huge market and shit. Yeah,
I've heard that.
Huge.
To this day.
Yeah, huge market. So I don't stay as much in touch with everything, but still, I believe it's still, apparently a big music scene too and shit. And so,
no shit. Okay.
Again, it because of that, it opened up a lot of doors for us. We ended up meeting a lot of different people in the industry. Again, right when they were just kind of coming up, seeing the Frosties come out here from Colorado, and Taylor at West Coast when he was... West Coast, when he was just doing his little diamond thing and shit like that before he got into solventless and all that type of shit. Like, it was cool.
We got to get him on the show. That'll never happen.
Oh man, he's elusive.
Bro. That's why it works, and it's so cool.
Badass. Again,
you know what he looks like?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
100%. Like
I don't, and I love that.
I haven't seen him in some years, so maybe he's changed a little bit and stuff like that. But he used to pull up, always had amazing flour. This dude, again, didn't care what the ticket had. This dude always pulled up with some of the best flower in the industry.
Who he washes for, bro. Like, he has access to everyone.
All day. And he would pay the ticket. He didn't ask for discount. He was just like, I don't want no discount. I want to just pay fire. No, he's a real deal cat. He come over, fucking. I respect that. Not the only, but one of the few people in the industry that really treated it like a business. Understood the business and treated it like business. Where a lot of us, like me, I thought it was never going to end. I loved it. I loved the traditional side of things. I thought the market was going to blow up. I didn't think about reinvesting in projections in my margins and cogs and different type of aspects now that I have to live by in the rec, you know. And he was way far ahead of that. He understood the numbers. He had books. He was about the game, treated it like a business, and now he's cemented himself as, you know, one of those guys. And so that brand is just going to...
For an underground king that's still thriving, it's fucking, it's dope. It's dope to see, man.
He'll forever have his place in history, you know, as part of the industry. He's made such a big impact, and the different brands he's partnered and they've all partnered with and shit like that. You know, you talk about Trilogy, Bobby, all these types of guys and shit like that. Trilogy's
killing it.
All day. And really helped spearhead the conversation for a lot of us, you know.
See those smiley faces everywhere, bro.
100%.
Bro.
Some people, they don't like to talk about who they perceive as competitors and shit. One, I appreciate all these people, what they're doing in this area. Two, the education aspect. It's like 710 Labs. They have such an amazing education platform, and they've saved me so many conversations when I'm trying to sit there to the average bud tender and say, why is my product worth an extra amount of quality compared to all the rosin you're seeing on the shelf and stuff? They've helped make people understand the nuances that go into making a great product versus a good product.
Got it.
And I appreciate them for that. You know? Education's key in this industry. You know?
It is, especially in your niche. I mean, I sell flowers, so it's just like I got to go in there. All right, guys, we're just selling weed. All right, I'm not going to sit here and tell you why my weed's better. I'm going to tell you my QC process and how the weed makes it into the bag and why that is. That's all I got. But like your process for manufacturing these products is so intricate, and there's so much that goes into it. Like, you have that, and that's a good thing.
Oh, 100%. And on that topic, that's why I'm so grateful for my partner Joe and all this. You know, it's like...
So who's it? You and your partner Joe?
Yeah, we got a couple other players at the table, but Joe and I and my girl Alyssa, who heads up the sales and stuff, you know, we really kind of run the ship. So I'll go into how how Kalya and the rec started.
How about, if I'm not jumping ahead... How does the name come about? What is Kalya? How does all that happen? If I'm not jumping ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I got you. So Kalya, it comes from Sanskrit and it means perfection.
Oh, cool.
And so I saw my dad, like I mentioned before, play football, love football. And so for me growing up, I played a lot of basketball. It doesn't look like it was pretty decent, and played some football as well. But I'd watch tons of it, NFL Network, all that type of deal. And I saw this quote from Lombardi, and it talks about how they're going to chase perfection, but they'll never achieve it because nothing's perfect. But they'll chase it because in the meantime they'll catch excellence, and they don't have any interest of being just good. And I thought that was hard as shit. I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be great. I want to have great hash. I love smoking amazing quality cannabis with people. It's one of my favorite experiences, is going around and showing somebody a jar of something, especially when it's fresh press, because fresh press isn't as loud as cold cure. So they smell it, and if they're not as in the game, it doesn't smell as much, and then they take a dab, and that expression on somebody's face when they smoke great product is magical to me. It's something I chase, you know? And so, again, I was like, this is what, you know, I want to embody, is the chase of perfection and stuff. And so, again, that's where it kind of came together, and how it all drew up. I had like 4 other names, because I'm kind of an indecisive dude and shit. So I had 4 other names, and I wrote them on this list, and I had Al Fresco. Have you ever heard of Al Fresco?
Just look at it right here. You looking at it right here.
Come on.
That's it, yeah.
Well, I'm blind as hell. I didn't even see the L in my gear. Sorry. Take that one
That's
out.
my dog, man. Shout out to Al, man.
Shut up, Big Al, bro. 100%. So Al was in the same complex as us.
Okay, yeah, you guys were in Oakland.
Yeah,
right?
we were in Oakland.
I know that complex.
Yes, sir, off of Pendleton. And
Yep.
so we asked him to do a logo, and he's like, for sure, no worries. I'd love to come up and like talk about it. And so he's like, I'll be there at 8:30. And so 8:30 passes around, doesn't show up. Shows up around 11:30, and he pulls up with Champelli. It's fucking first time I ever met Champelli. Sweetheart, shout out Champelli, an absolute killer in the game.
Man, coolest OG in the game.
Savage.
Say it all the time.
Yeah. Absolute badass. And so again, it was cool because I never met Champelli, so it was awesome to break bread with him, swapping stories, talking about Mac Dre and all this type of shit, just kind of to come up for all of us. And then we're taking dabs till about 3 a.m, and I finally shoved this list over to Al Fresco, and I have a little star next to Kalya, and I was like, yeah, this is what I was thinking. And he was like, oh, it's over. I got it, bro. That's the one. Kalya is the one. I got you a logo. Take me a couple of days. Don't worry. It's already in my head. And so fucking sure enough, drew that bad boy up. And again, off we went into the wild and shit like that. It was awesome. I was like, there's our chase of perfection. Let's go and stuff. And it was great to be able to do it with somebody like Al and shit, a legend in the game and stuff.
Dude, that's dope.
Just another
That's dope. I did not know Al did your logo, bro. Yeah. It's tight, man.
If you look at the swoop of the Y, it's similar to the Doja.
The Doja, yeah. So you see on the poster over there?
Yes, sir.
You see where Doja is at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
Right next to PizzZa? So when Doja did his episode here, coincidentally Al came here like to see CGO. And he came in and I was like, when we do the signing at the end, I'm like, yo, Al, throw up the Doja shit. So he signed it in the original Doja format, you know what I mean?
That's so fire,
It was dope. It was dope to have him here that day. That shit was tight, bro.
What a coincidence. Old Ella Monkey, man, the absolute OG. Again.
Oh, yeah. And then when he did his episode, I was like, bro, I've been saving this fucking wall for somebody that can write. I was like, bring your fucking drippies. Let's get busy. So he did that side. I did all this side and shit. And it was...
Your side's dope, too.
Thanks, bro. Thank you, man. I've been writing since I was 11.
Really?
I don't think I'm as nice as Al, but I got my own style,
Come on. Yeah, that's fire. Al's been around, you know what I'm saying? Al's been around the block.
I've actually learned about balance from Al, like balancing out your tags. Like nobody's ever taught me anything. You know what I'm saying? It's
self-taught,
just shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, Al's ill, bro. He's a real artist.
That's fucking fire. No.
Yeah, continue.
So I was grateful. So yeah.
He's born.
Basically how kind of it all started and stuff is just like anybody that's been in the game for a while, I took my fair share of L's and
for sure.
A couple of my last ones hurt the most. One thing that happened is the house I was in burnt down and so like that in the Santa Rosa fires. And it was actually the second fire I had to deal with. So I came up on some money and with Shatter, I went to Clear Lake and had a little grow going. We're making some Shatter with the GDP brand. We did like GDP Extracts, had our own brand going on. Everything was going in. And the Mendocino Complex fires came in.
Oh, no.
And so I ended up destroying everything. So at that time, I moved down to back down to Santa Rosa. And we get this opportunity, me and my old partner Harrison, to set up the washroom at the Emerald Cup.
Oh,
so
shit.
like that. They're looking for a washroom there and stuff. There's a guy named Graham's Brand. At the time, he was huge in Mendocino. He had like Berryessa Blue Dream and Mount Hamilton Headband. He named all these OG strains and had like little landmarks around him. And he recommended my partner Harrison to Tim Blake to build out his washroom. And so it was really my partner Harrison that was really the lead on this and stuff. I was just his partner with it, just doing my own background.
Okay,
stuff
got
helping
you.
him along. But fucking went up to Emerald Cup and set that deal up. And he really started to take that on in his own type of way and shit. And I knew I wanted to get into solventless too, but I knew, especially at that time, that again, there wasn't enough room for the both of us type deal. As a manager positions, it didn't make sense to hire two people to do this one job. And so, again, I knew that I needed to make a transition and shit like that. And so, again, Santa Rosa comes by. I'm starting to stack up my bread. I get a little shop in Oakland, right off of 98th and San Leandro, near the train tracks there. And it's in this big time... big style grows with a bunch of 100 lighters and stuff, and they had a recycling plant in the front and stuff, and then in the very back we had a little unit and stuff like that with 2 stories, and we were making hella Shatter there.
Nice.
And so Everything's going well. 2018 fires coming to Santa Rosa. We're in a really nice development. It's called Fountain Grove. And I'm like, there's no way when we get evacuated from our house, I'm like, there's no way they're going to let this part burn down. Like, this is where all the big money is in Santa Rosa. Well, it did. And so burnt that down. I had a little safe in there, had a bunch of stuff. And this
You got
was
cooked? Safe
melted.
cooked?
Everything. Fire resistant or fireproof don't mean shit. You know what I'm saying?
No,
It's like it's 30 minutes or an hour or whatever.
It's like 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Some bullshit. I mean, the neighbors, they left this little Lexus. There was their daughter's car in the driveway, and it melted to a pool. We literally took a little chunk of it and stuff like that. It just was a pool about maybe 1.5 inches thick and stuff like that. And the fire was intense. And so, again, from there, I'm licking my wounds, and like between that, sometimes losing a load or doing your little bullshit going throughout the traditional, I was like, man, I need to get out. I see legalization happening in 2018 and stuff like that. I want to transition. And so a good friend of ours, he had a delivery in the East Bay for years, and he transitioned it into one of the first microbusiness licenses and got that microbusiness off of Pendleton in Oakland.
Who's that?
It's my buddy Ben. He had Zenganics. Was his name back then, and that's what name we started out with our LLC. And so we were in this canna complex. It was us. Nabis Distro was there back then. This was when Nabis
was in there?
Yeah,
Oh, no
Calyx,
shit.
Nabis. Our next door neighbor was Intrex, which was owned by Joey Got Bars and his dad Turpenstein.
Oh, yeah, his dad, Turpenstein.
Shout out, you know what I'm saying? The homies and shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
like,
I remember that.
just really cool ass people.
I remember that era, bro.
It was a cool little community. That Al had a corner with his partner at the time. There was a bunch of little people in this complex, and so basically, my buddy's looking to sell. And this dude who's ended up being my partner now, Joe, approached him to buy. And so my partner Joe, he's really the engine behind all this, like I was mentioning before. So he went to the Naval Academy, played football there, and then got recruited to be in intelligence and. Like recon type of stuff. And so he was based out of a unit called AFCON, going all around Africa doing all sorts of who knows what type of job.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? So he's lived a lot of life. And unfortunately, a couple of his buddies got really hurt, and himself included. He got some shrapnel stuck in his shoulder and in his ankle. And so when he's getting out of the military, a few of his buddies got addicted to opiates. And so right then, he knew he wanted to find something alternative because, as I've come to learn from him, not that I have my own experiences, but, the military it's a creed, it's a brotherhood.
Yep.
And so, he's over here searching for this solution. He's looking up, doing his research, finding out about cannabis and all the therapeutic benefits behind cannabis. And so he's like, hey, I want to be a part of this. And this is very against the grain comparatively to the rest of his family, where the rest of his family has done this like linear track where they go to some type of military college, a West Point, a Naval Academy type deal.
Sure.
And then they transition onto a long military career and then usually do private security and arms trading.
Okay.
And shit like that. A lot of them throughout the Middle East.
Nice path.
Yeah, and they become very, very successful doing the trading out in the Middle East and stuff. And that's a big thing what his dad did. His dad did that for years and then ended up transitioning to running the largest munitions factory in the world. It's in Arizona for Raytheon Technologies, I think it was. So it was, his family's always gone down near that like Lord of War, very like militarized type of career path. And Joe was like the black sheep, he's like, I want to get into cannabis. So he comes out to the Bay and he gets a job as security officer at a company called Nightscope and stuff. And because he had knowledge in like white hat hacking and different shit like that through his military career, he was able to also get in part of their software department.
Oh, cool.
And shit like that. It was brilliant, dude. And so
sounds brilliant. Very capable.
Oh, he's the one. And so basically he comes in looking to buy and get into the cannabis industry. He already is diversified, has a couple other businesses going. Cool. And he's like, hey, I don't want to just do a retail. Like, do you know anybody else in the industry that we have a micro business license that we could utilize the license with? And my buddy Ben's like, oh, yeah, I know this big ginger, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? He gives me a holler. And again, I'm over here like, hey, I'm trying to transition into the rec. Like, this sounds perfect.
Cool.
And so
And that's how you ended up in that plaza.
Exactly. So I get over there and we break some bread. And it's funny, when I first met Joe, we didn't trust each other.
Okay.
And shit like that, because him coming from the military, me coming from the traditional, we're coming from two different worlds, to say,
looking at each other like, I don't know,
to say the least. And I said something where Joe had done a little bit of research, and he was talking about some type of people that have been in the industry for a minute. And I was like, oh, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, this is the new age of hash, like blah, blah, blah and stuff. And he felt that was really disrespectful, talking about superiors that way, or people with tenure, especially where he's coming from. He's like, just don't do that. You know what I was saying, type shit. So he's like, who the fuck, this little chubby ass kid, like talking this shit and stuff like that. And so it took us a minute. Really, what kind of forged a relationship is he got this meeting for one of the biggest grows in the Central Valley. There was a multi-million square foot grow, and they said, hey, we're going to designate a huge portion of one of our greenhouses to just trying to do living soil. And we want to do fresh frozen. And so we're like, awesome. We're on the rec. This is 2018. Nobody has fresh frozen. There's like no rosin on the market. 710 Labs and Frosty were the only people I remember. Field hadn't dropped yet. And just nothing. So we're all nervous. One of the owners is like, hey, meet me down near Watsonville and stuff like that at my property. So we go to this gate in Watsonville, and this guy meets us there in the truck. And I'm thinking he's going to be like very corporate because the grow is huge. Yeah. And the dude comes up, and I could tell a little bit then. I was like, yeah, he looks kind of like an industry cat. He was like, follow me up to the grow. And so we take this road, and it was sick. He has his grow all tiered out with these greenhouses. And at the very top of the grow is this little pagoda that's all built out and shit like that he can like lounge in and overlook the grow. It's really cool. Nice. And he ends up donating all of the profit of the grow to charity. And shit like that. It's his own private little grow. It's a little 10,000 square foot, or I think it might have been 20,000 square foot style grow. And so we get up to the top there, and Joe's like, are you ready to show him the hash? And I'm like, yeah. And so I'm sitting there, and we had just found a little material, but there has no weight behind it, and it turned out well. And so I'm sitting there like thawing the jar out, trying to wipe down the jar and make it presentable and stuff. And I get out the car, and the guy doesn't say much to us. He's like, oh, come on in. Name's Sean. Shake his hand, and he was like, hey, I heard you had something to show me. And I'm like looking over at his table, and he's got like West Coast and a bunch of relevant hash makers. Sure. So I was like, oh shit, like this is going to be a little bit of a challenge. Like this guy definitely knows what's up. And so I give him the jar, and he opens up the jar, and he stares at it, and he doesn't even look up, and he's like, we're going to do business. And right then I like look over at my partner Joe, and I'm like, I told you, what I'm saying? I told you I knew what was going on. Like, just give him the look, you know what I'm saying? Like,
told us
yeah, exactly. Like you know, and stuff. And so
fire, bro.
That's how it's really from there. It was like we hit the ground running. You know what I'm saying? Wow. That was the moment and shit like that where we just really started trusting each other. And from there it was like, hey, we need to start entering the Emerald Cup. We need to get this thing going and shit like that. And so we ended up coming from there, building out this, we ripped out this employee lounge and made it into a little washroom and stuff like that. Countless hours sleeping overnight there, just rolling up little ball sweatshirts and shit like that. Yep. Startup mode. You're a dog in this shit.
Man,
I'm about that shit. That's what we're all about. Like,
come on. You've seen our first couple episodes.
Come on, baby. It's a long time coming. That's what it's about. It's baby steps, though.
Yes, bro.
And basically, I showed my partner, I was like, hey, this is how everybody makes hash. And so I thought, the majority of people, I could say, and stuff. I was like, here is a modified bubble magic machine, gravity fed. I was like, here is an icon and some of these new machines coming out. And I was like, here's a paddle and a brut. I was like, if we do this, we won't be successful. And then I went over, I showed him the press, and I was like, hey, this is my buddy's press. It's used by a lot of the big hash makers in the game. Here's a few different other brands. If we use this press, we're only going to be as good as these other people. Showed him the freeze dryers. I was like, you see these harvest rights? We can use this to start out with. We can use all this shit. This will get us going. But if we use this harvest right, we're only going to be as good as people using harvest rights and shit like that. And so I was like, you with the engineering mind, we need to think about how to create the better mousetrap.
Oh shit!
How to make more efficiencies?
Wow!
I was like, we need to pour all of our money, and he was about this too. Is hey, we need to pour all of our money into pace of innovation. That's how I really think of the longevity of a company is really your pace of innovation. Yeah. Branding helps you with perception to some extent, but your innovation and how fast you're innovating comparatively to your competitors is really what's going to tell tale about how long you're going to participate in the industry. And for me, I got a semester maybe of some junior college, you know what I'm saying, that I took only for some classes that I thought was going to help me in cannabis. Like, I don't got any other option. This is it for me. And so I'm here to play. I want to be around for a long time. I love this shit. and I'm grateful to be here. And so
Yeah.
for our strategy was like, hey, let's innovate harder. And then he was like, well, what are we going to do for marketing? And I was like, it's easy. We'll give them some hash, and if they like it, they'll buy some. And if they don't, we're fucked. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty simple. You know, it's like we either got to come out with the heat or we're cooked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so off we went, and
That's fire.
we built out this lab, got things going there, and ended up entering in the Emerald Cup that year. And no disrespect to the Emerald Cup, anyway, I consider that one of the last great Emerald Cups because it was before the pandemic, and all the event companies got really hit with their ability to maneuver and stuff. You know, a lot of them got hamstrung. So this is the last one that had a huge budget for it. There is tons of media, big show out over there at Sonoma County Fairgrounds. And luckily, we ended up sweeping the rosin category and stuff.
I remember that. What flavors you guys win with?
Fruit stripe, banana cream, and garlic juice.
I remember garlic juice.
Yeah, that garlic juice was
fire.
And that was a good one. And so that put us on the map. And at the time, I'm 24, about to be going to be 25. So
Salute.
I was pretty young for me in the game. You know what I'm saying, to learn that and stuff. But it was an awesome moment for us. It really helped propel us in the eyes of the rec, where there was a lot at the time. There wasn't as many buyers and there wasn't as many owners of dispensaries that had leaned in and understood the industry or came from the industry.
No doubt.
So there was a lot more corporate aspects to it. And so for them, the Emerald Cups, the Oscars of the industry, has that perception and stuff. So winning that immediately opened up a lot of doors from some little small outfit in, over there in the Bay in Oakland.
Absolutely.
And stuff. And so that really kind of started to propel us in a lot of momentum. From there, literally right after that, we got hit up. And I don't think it was even because of the Emerald Cup per se, just because some of our product had gotten back in our hands. Ted hit us up.
This is where I wanted to stop you. I was waiting for this. This is where you came on my radar. Because Ted, I'd become friends with Ted in 2018. We went to the same gym. We were like workout buddies or whatever. Lived in the same neighborhood. And I was just tripping out. I met a fucking weed legend, and he actually turned out to be cool and became friends, Like, not just weed friends, like we're like real friends. Like, we talk about our families and shit, and like day-to-day shit, outside of weed, of course. But I started noticing the rosin he was smoking on, and he put me on the Kalya, and this is like, and he's known for quality. Like, he's a heady fool. You know what I'm saying? Ted's in the know of everything, and he knows what's smoking, and he knows, and I learned real quick he's really into rosin, and he knows the rosin world, and who's who and who put out his heat. And then I noticed he kept working with you guys, and then you guys started doing the collabs, and then I'd see a freezer full of your shit in his freezer. I'm like, holy shit. So continue.
Yeah,
this is when you hit my radar, 2018-ish.
Yes, sir. So
that's a very quality, heady brand of rosin makers, hash makers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, that's really kind of, again, I appreciate Ted in a lot of ways because he opened us up to a lot of people that would have never heard of us without him.
No doubt.
And so,
no doubt.
Basically, Ted hit us up. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, it was Clout King. We were doing some.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
From Clout King that might have even connected us or shot my number over to him, but
okay.
I can't remember. It was a minute ago. But anyways, he hit me up and was like, hey, I'd love to see if we could do some test washes and see what's going on and shit. And I was like, for sure. Let me know what you got, what you're thinking. And so one thing I respect about Ted is he's very objective. One way I like to approach our business is it's easy to get clouded with emotion, and especially when you talk about quality and things that are subjective. But he's always very clear, and he's has a great perspective when it comes to knowing what's quality and what's not and trying to understand that. And so basically he was like, hey, I appreciate your guys' products. I think it's good, but I'm still gonna, hold you to the trial where I'm gonna go to every hash maker in the industry and give them the same material and stuff. And we had the same thing happen with West Coast Gear when for a while we were doing all the West Coast Gear hash and did some collaborations with them. And same type of deal. It's not like I got this collaboration necessarily because I was great friends with these people and stuff. I have become a great friend with Ted and shit like that, and I ended up
no doubt
having an awesome relationship. But at that time, I didn't really know him and stuff, and so it was really just a quality thing. And so he gave us the material, gave a bunch of other people the material in the industry, and when it came to yield and quality, we ended up being the one he chose. And so because of that, Again, we started rolling out the Alien Lab collabs maybe a few months after he dropped Xeno and Milky Way.
I remember that Xeno. That Xeno was fire, dude. I got some of that, brother.
Yeah, that Xeno. Oh man, the Bisconte was really
good. It was crazy, bruv.
He had some amazing flavors, and at the time, the grow that we were sourcing from was an R&D program. It was a living soil grow, run by a really good friend of mine to this day, a guy named Patrick Stonk. And so Patrick Stonk, he had learned from Dr. Elaine Ingham. Dr. Elaine Ingham is, for those of you that don't know, is considered the godmother of modern day soil science, regenerative soil science. She teaches microbiology and different studies out of Oregon State, which is world-renowned ag school, and also teaches classes specific towards cannabis about living soil science. She, my buddy Brian over that Vital Organics, shout out, one of the absolute killers in the industry. Vital Organics was inspired. A lot of it was all created off of knowledge from Dr. Elaine Ingham.
No shit, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Vital. A lot of my homies on the Ridge use Vital.
100%. Fire stuff.
Higher Vibrations, Duke of Doja, Doja's New Farm, like all them fools, bro.
There's a reason. Yeah. I mean,
Real Deal Resin, you know what I mean?
The proof's in the pudding. It's a great product, honestly. He does a great job of bottling up or packaging up an awesome type of ecosystem of living soil for. Yeah. And so
that's tight, bro.
Yeah, he's killing it. And so my buddy Patrick, coming from that same type of vein, he's one of the few people that can walk the talk. A lot of people use living soil now, and it's diluted. The terminology has become more marketing than because most people don't even understand it to an extent. Again, the education aspect. But he's one of the few people that can walk the talk. His living soil flower looks aesthetically as good as the majority, if not everybody's salt flower that I've ever seen.
Sure,
one of the better growers I've ever met. And stuff. He's an absolute monster. And so, again, he helped Jordan. I think when Jordan came on, he was talking about it a little bit and stuff like that. But yeah,
nice.
Yeah, he is an absolute savage in the day. Ask Jordan one time about old Patrick in his depth game and shit.
I will.
He's been around the block. Shit. So again, absolute killer. That collab ended up being great too. Again, a lot of notoriety, especially since it was a newer brand. There's a lot of people in the traditional side of things that didn't know if they wanted to validate it or not. They didn't know if it was corporate or not.
What, your brand?
Our brand.
Okay, gotcha.
And stuff, because again, I had Medicine Man, had another little brand for a minute and stuff, and so coming out with Kalya, nobody knows a lot behind it. We didn't put our faces out there.
Gotcha.
And stuff. I've been more into like brokering and different shit like that. I didn't have to be the front man and be the face of a company. This is one of the few podcasts I've ever done and stuff, and no so doubt. I'm just not really out there like that. And so for me, oh man, I lost my train of thought. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good, bro. It happens. So you were talking about we were talking about soil and people that really paved the way. Then you talked about Jordan for a second and his contribution. Your friend Pat.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So again, for me, like I said, the living soil and stuff, it's uncomparative when it comes to the quality, and that's what really set that first Alien Labs drop apart. Unfortunately, because of how much Alien Labs expanded and stuff, they weren't able to keep the living soil program alive.
No doubt.
It's stuff, they had to get while the getting's good. There was only so much opportunity window for them to jump into these different states.
No doubt.
Like that. But we're working with Ted and looking at bringing back the Living Soil program again with cool. Alien Labs and shit. But regardless, even so, the indoor that they drop off that's not Living Soil, it's immaculate.
Nice.
And when you look at the fresh frozen that gets dropped off in the bags and stuff, you could almost just dry that flower and put it in a jar. It's that well trimmed. There's you'll see a lot of fresh frozen posted, and there's big fan leaf, and there's a lot of sugar leaf. There's none of that there. You're just getting straight bud meat.
Wow.
Yeah, it's real deal.
Good to work with, easy to work with.
All day.
Yeah.
And so from that Aliens Labs collab, that kind of opened up the door for us too with a bunch of different collabs. We ended up doing like a lemonade collab, Blue River, a few different brands in the industry, different little cultivations, indoor cultivations in the industry and stuff. And so everything was kind of going good for us. And then we got robbed down in Oakland.
I remember that.
Yeah. So
I remember that whole complex got hit, bro.
Yeah, I got hit pretty tough. So
those were one of the first big ones.
Yeah, it was right after the riots. And so basically, they were getting a bunch of different big names in the industry.
Big Red, Apex got hit.
Yeah, Apex. Oh man, I feel bad they got gutted. 710 Labs.
710, yep.
Got gutted, and so we were doing well, and had escaped a lot of that. And it was at the tail end. They came in 20 plus people deep. The controversial part about it too is that they were there for 3.5 hours with golf carts moving product around. And we have security guards there. And so whether the security guards were in on it or not, I can't really say or not. But allegedly, so obviously something fishy happened.
Sure, shit didn't do anything.
100%. And so basically they came into Interex. They took a massive amount of carts from them. And then they rolled over. They were really there for Calyx Distro. So they ripped open Calyx Distro. These guys were good. You know, this isn't your average little crew where a lot of the professional crews in Oakland, they're robbing contractor trucks and stuff like that. So they have like plasma torches and nice equipment because everybody had steel frames, steel doors. And so what they would do, honestly, this is the easier part. They just took a stud finder and just like the Kool-Aid man, like, oh yeah, just right through your goddamn wall. You know what I'm saying? Just boom, boom, cut that shit through right through the wall.
So they're sliding through that little 18 inches.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sliding through a bunch of them, sliding through there. Then they have a couple little lookouts at each corner and stuff with long rifles. And then they'd come in there. They took 4,000 pounds of indoor from Calyx and over $1 million cash. Whoa. And so that was obviously a devastating blow for them. They came over to us. They robbed the shit out of us. They took our retail cage and took our safe. It was pretty filled at the time, unfortunately. Took a bunch of our flour product and then went into our freezers and they opened them up and they took a bunch of flats of fresh press. And unfortunately, a chunk of it was this Grow Low Key Valley Grove collab. It was the first time Grow Low Key and the homies and shit, they wanted the release Gassy Taffy and Peanut Butter Gelato. We ended up still doing the release. It was just smaller batches. And so they took chunks of those and then they took a bunch of jars from us and shit. Wow. And so
they didn't even know what they had.
Not at all.
Legendary.
There's a few people across the street and stuff like that you know, so those unhomed and stuff that were just sitting there with some of the boxes I saw and shit like that. They had no idea. Same thing with 710 Labs. My girl at back at the time, she used to hustle at Sessions and shit like that around Oakland, and I would saw that 710 Labs pop up. It was $10, $15 a gram, because they didn't know what the fuck they had. They're just trying to unload to get cashed out and shit like that. So, you know, it was for like Ghost Hulk and like great strains from them too. It wasn't just like the bullshit and stuff. Wow. So yeah, that was a humbling time for everybody in Oakland, and for us, you know, we had to really think about what the next move was. And luckily, you know, we are looking around. There was about 2 or 3 different locations, and a spot popped open in Santa Rosa. I grew up in Santa Rosa. It's out of the Canacraft building. They had a bunch of space that wasn't being used. We could rent out a chuck. And so we're like, awesome. Let's make the transition and shit. And so off we went up to Santa Rosa, and that's where we've been for, you know, the last 4 years, pretty much. It's 3.5 years. And stuff. We still have a spot down in Oakland we maintain for logistics. It has a micro business license. We'll roll up stuff. We have a partner down there, Dunks and Gems and stuff. My buddy Armand.
Dunks, yeah. Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff
I know
like
that.
Yeah, so he rolls out of there and shit.
Nice.
And stuff. And so
he's using your material for his rolls, right?
Yeah, a chunk of it. Sometimes he sources from a few different other people, but the majority of the material is sourced from us.
I was impressed when I met him. I'm like, oh, you using Kalya for your rolls? I'm like, okay, player.
Come on.
That's respectable, bro. Especially in the rec. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah. Armand's been around the block. And one thing I realized, too, you know, you need a team. Especially in the rec. You know, in the traditional market, it's easy enough to pop up a brand, get some good perception around it, and maintain some type of relevancy in it and have decent cash. Yeah. But to really, if you want to participate in the legal market and the rec and be a part of the long game, you need a team. Just like any great company, you know, Steve Wozniak, you know, there's different Paul Allen, there's these different guys at these different companies that are sometimes heard about, sometimes you don't even know the name, and they're the glue and the engine on what makes it happen. And You know, we have a lot of people at Kalya over the years that we built with. You know, a guy named TJ who runs our wash, and he had a brand called Pure Headies. He was the only guy washing the Village's work.
I remember that.
And stuff. Yeah, he won the Emerald Cup and stuff. He used to be good friends with Cuban. They used to swap tech and shop and shit like that. Again, he runs our wash now and shit like that. You know, it's like him having the trust in me that I'm not gonna fuck him over, and that he's gonna be able to win with us and shit like that's hard to do because he came from the traditional side when things were good. Same thing like my guy Ben or Cody or guy Dabby D David who runs our pressing and shit like that. These are the people that make it happen for us day in and day out and shit like that. You need them. And
Goddamn right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you are nothing without these people this brand and shit.
Straight up.
So that's why I realized you have to build these people up and you have to make them think they're going to win with you. If they don't think that they're going to be able to dip their beak at the end or that they're going to win and stuff, it's going to be hard for them to want to commit and be a dog. Yeah. Spend the extra hours and go beyond the Call of Duty and do the extra effort to make things right or make it what it needs to be, you know?
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to do this shit. You know, there's a lot of people that want to have rec companies and participate in the cannabis industry in a meaningful way. And so the moment you get complacent, you know, it's easy to get behind. And that's one of the things I've seen, especially on the traditional side, is, again, it's the land of milk and honey because your margins are huge. You don't have to pay a distro, and the retail doesn't take 100% markup. So when you sell a $60, $70 gram, you had 10% or, you know, $10, $15 the cost on it, but you're taking home that extra $50, $55, $60 and stuff. And so, you know, you don't think of it in those types of ways and shit where you can polish off your mistake with margins. But you know, when you're talking about the rec, you don't have the room to make those mistakes. You have to execute at a high level.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It is that team. And so for us, you know, over the years, we were able to pick up some amazing people and form a really, really solid group. And so that's what's been the key for us. You know, it's allowed Joe to go in there and innovate. Now we have our own spoons, you know, we have our own type of a drying type of machine that isn't freeze drying, it isn't air drying, it's something completely unique to us. And so with that we hope one day we can patent and protect.
Sick,
and stuff.
Bro.
We have our own presses. You know, we have our own wash receptacles. Everything besides parchment paper is pretty much made in-house from us.
That's cool. I did not know that. That's dope, bro.
At the end of the day, it's the accumulation of all these things that we think is going to lead to a better outcome.
Sure.
And stuff. And we realize in business, it's not like usually one huge event or cataclysmic event that goes and takes you out. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. It's the inefficiencies and stuff. And going back into that, it's the complacencies and stuff. When I see, and I've done them before. I mean, shit, this wasn't built off McDonald's right here. This is a lot of, I love some good food and some good drink once in a while and stuff. And I've definitely learned. But, you know, every time I see people do these huge expenditures, huge dinners and watches and all that type of shit, it's fun and it's great and all. But every dollar that you just put into that watch, I'm putting into trying to make better hash to compete against you. So you better know it's coming. We just spent 20, 40 bands on a trip or whatever. That's $40,000 I just sunk into trying to make a better hash, either better material and how to grow better material, better packaging, all that stuff. And so you better be ready to compete on stage because it's easy to get complacent in this game. Especially you go to these events and everybody throws around opportunity. Oh, collab. Oh, I got millions here and shit. What I realized is most of that shit's smoke. It's like chasing box deals or case deals. Or if you're trying to chase those monster CBD isolate shits like 5 or 7 years ago, you know, most of that shit's fugazi. It ain't fucking real. It's like, you know, it's better to hit singles and shit than try to hit home runs all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
those singles add up, kid.
100%, dude. 100%. And so for me, it's like, take the things that are in front of you that we can easily fucking grasp and shit like that. Trying to hit the home runs and shit. Bond together. And that's
You're going to hit a home run. You keep swinging.
all day.
Keep hitting those singles and doubles.
The accumulations will be home runs.
Yeah,
and shit, you know?
for sure.
It's like the accumulation of it.
I like that analogy, bro.
But again, it's just something where, for me, it's that time where we're going through a huge transitional period in the industry, and we need to come together. We need to circle the wagons and shit like that.
What do you think about the state of the game right now, man? Just talking about the game. Not to cut you.
I think it's in a harsh. It's in a harsh place. I think there's huge money coming in. In fact, I know there's big money coming in. People like Altria. Do you know who Altria is?
No, I don't.
So Altria is one of the bigger VC firms in the world. They own Philip Morris, which owns Marlboro.
Shit.
So these are big money. And I know that these types of characters are in the industry shopping aggressively. Some of these people, some of the largest alcohol distributors in the world, own brands in this industry, and they've owned them since 2021, 2022, that put out marketing that they're organic Humboldt or that they're from the industry. They even have people hired on there that claim that same type of thing when they're really not.
Wow.
And so we're in this really harsh place in this city where we're seeing the massive compression. There's an old theory, Mark Cuban loves to spit it out, is you either at the top or the bottom, the middle gets squished. And so there's this huge fight to either position yourself at the top. That's why you're seeing a lot of drama and animosity towards certain between certain big brands that used to call each other friends, because that market's getting squeezed, and as that market share gets squeezed, people they get defensive.
Yeah, for sure.
And so
for sure.
I think, like I said, we're at the turning point in the marketplace where if you look at any other market, Unilever's already here. They've really those types of conglomerates have already established themselves in pretty much any market that has $1 billion cap plus. And this is one of the few markets where they're not established, where we have an opportunity to help push the direction of the industry or have some say in it in a meaningful type of way, where other industries it's already glass ceilings. No matter how far you climb,
For sure,
you're going to hit a glass ceiling. This is one of the industries that's not. And so instead of trying to cut each other down at the knees and saying petty shit and stuff, now's the time where we need to figure out how to eat and build together. I'll get everybody a trophy here. You know what I'm saying? I know the Lakers and stuff. Y'all first place, number one and stuff. It's like, now's the time. It's like, again, there's a lot of great things we've all enjoyed in this industry. A lot of the communal aspects I talked about earlier.
Absolutely.
And it's time to go and think about that and like, how do we foster that? How do we build on that? That's why I like my buddy, old John Capetta, and shout out Smoke. It said they're throwing an event. On the
You just hit me up yesterday, man. I love what they're doing, bro. It's fire.
100%. And like the whole directive of the event, it's like there's no competition, no bullshit, stuff like that. It's here to network and build and stuff like that, where it's like, let's collaborate together and figure out strategies. And then, if we can figure out a third party that wants to take a really objective look on the qualitative aspect of things, let's go down that road and you want to do some competitions. But now for me is the time for us to establish the foundation that we want to see in the future.
No doubt.
If we want people to be able to, just like us, start from nothing and come in and be able to have a meaningful say and stuff, we need to make that happen because nobody else is going to do it.
That's right.
And so this is our time. And so it's a call to all the friends out there and stuff. It's rally the flag. It's a time to build. There's a huge vacuum in the industry. Some of the largest brands, they're starting to crumble. Yeah. So I'm not trying to name any names and stuff like that, but people that used to be in the pantheon of cannabis no longer have that effectiveness when it comes to the draw or demand anymore. They diversified in other things because they know it. And so because of that vacuum, it's left this opportunity for smaller guys like us to swim up and establish ourselves when we might not have the chance. But at the same time, it opens up opportunities for predators to come and do the same. Yeah. And shit. And so, again, strength in numbers in this type of deal, there's more than enough for everybody. And I've been around enough to see the type of movement that can be done on the broker world. There is plenty of cash out there for people. And so it's time, let's focus. Yeah. It's easy to drown in opportunity. Let's focus together and let's build together.
That's right. And on that note, we're going to take a little break.
Come on.
What's up, guys? It's your boy JP Good Pizza. Just taking a quick second to shout out my sponsors over at Grove Bags. Listen, it's an exclusive proprietary bag, and here's why we love them. Let's talk terpene preservation. This is the best environment for storing your cannabis. It keeps your cannabis at 58 to 62% humidity at all times. It's like your cannabis is living in San Diego year-round with the best weather. Terpene and flavor longevity. That's important. It inhibits microbial growth. No mold, Kujin. Let's talk light protection. UV rays and good pizza don't mix. It also increases shelf life. Guys, if you have your flower in a dispensary, please use Grove Bags. We all know that stuff sits sometimes. This is going to be your saving grace for flower that sits on that shelf longer than it should. Don't mess around with the pizza. Use promo code GOODPIZZA with TreeZ's. Tell them Good Pizza sent you. We'll see y'all back on the show. Want me to light her up for you? Get a roast?
Please. That'd be awesome.
Got you, bro.
I shamelessly can't roll a joint.
Are we rolling? We're rolling. Okay.
Yeah, I cannot. I'll roll you a dab. I cannot. I can't roll a joint. I never really got into joints like that. I started dabbing when I was 15.
Oh, no shit.
And I never really looked back and shit. And so
I was like 30.
Yeah, it's been a.
We got any butane in here? Speaking of dabs, slap me a can, would you?
Fire.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
I need to fucking fire up my my lighter here. I don't like using regular lighters.
Makes sense.
So, what is? I have some hash questions for you, sir.
Talk to me.
We were talking a little bit about fresh press before, and like, you know, what do you like? What do you like and not like about fresh press, and maybe what do you like and not like about cold cure? And I know this is gonna be loaded. Sorry, I probably should have broke this down. And then like, let's just talk about like the curing process, the buttering up of that's cool. The buttering up of fresh press and the different expressions you get throughout that process when you're smoking it.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So to kind of unpack that a little bit, first off, what I usually prefer is fresh press. Now, what the big difference is I'll notice between fresh press and cold cure is that with cold cure, when you start to oxidize the resin, and that's how you get to cold cure, you try to do it in as stable as a condition as possible to minimize the loss of different volatile cannabinoids and things like that. But at the end of the day, you are oxidizing it. You're whipping it up. You're pushing oxygen into it. And so what that'll do, at least what I've noticed, is it takes away from some of the nuanced flavors that can be found in certain strains, especially when you're doing fresh rosin. And so that sometimes is a bad thing, but it's not always. There's some strains out there where it'll be like so dominant in a certain terpene, or it'll have some of these nuanced flavors that are maybe not as desirable, that when they oxidize and they kind of burn off, the other maybe not as loud type of compounds are going to come behind it and really shine to make it better. And so when it comes to fresh press and cold cure, I always tell people it is strain dependent. Luckily for me, I'm a Z whore, and Z is usually better in fresh press or when it's churning. And that's where a sweet spot is for a lot of people. If we could capture that essence, I think most hash makers would enjoy that stage where, fresh press is starting to churn. And why it is, it kind of plays along that theory a little bit, is you're starting to take away, maybe there's a pine essence to it, or something that's a little hazy or earthy that's kind of dominating the flavor profile. And as that's kind of burning away or breaking down, there's more nuance starting to pop. But it's not all the way gone, where it still complements it, but it's not all the way gone, you know? And so really when it comes to that curve, of oxidation stuff, everybody has their own sweet spot on what they prefer, and it also is going to come to the strain. But for me, again, a lot of the cold cure was also built on the necessity to transport it. Cold cure is so hard to be able to take fresh press and bring it to different places and have it have the same aesthetics and the same qualitative components that you get it when it's fresh and kept really well, either right off the press or in a jar, And so for me, cold cure is also built on some of the necessity to be able to try to share some of these terps throughout the U.S. and throughout the world. And so part of it is on necessity. The thing that is confusing to some people, though, is that cold cure will be louder in a jar. When you open up a jar of loud cure, that's what usually turns people away from fresh press, is when you open up a jar of cold cure compared to fresh press, the cold cure is a lot louder. But what I like to tell people is also that's part of the cannabinoids that you just paid a really high premium for kind of escaping or breaking down. So hopefully they're the right ones, right? That's it. Hopefully they're the unwanted and stuff, because if it isn't, that was a really, really expensive compounds that are going right into your nose and not into your lungs. And so...
And to that point there that you just made, like, also when you're at the session, you got to remember, like, somebody's handing you a puck of some fresh press. You're also smoking doinks. You got the weed fingers. So all you smell is like roach smoke on your fingers, bro. Like,
tough.
You're not smelling that fucking, it's already very subtle, if at all, it's present. So like, I don't even really bother with it. Like, if I can't smell, I'm like, whatever. And then I'll smoke it and I already know what time it is, bro. Like, Dog, the first time I smoked some fresh press that I was just knocking my fucking socks off was Niche by Kenjana. And goddamn, bro, like the way they, and their pancakes. I don't even like pancakes in flour, but in fresh press, it's like, holy fuck. I taste the Cushmans. I taste the fucking, what is that? I forget what it even is. It's Cushman's some other shit. Pancakes. Cushman's and LPC.
I think so. I was going to say.
Yeah, London
I
pound
was
cake.
trying to remember.
London pound cake and Cushman's, I think.
Yeah.
Cookies genetics.
Something in that realm.
But yeah, that's dope, bro. That's dope.
Yeah, I mean.
Thank you for breaking that down.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy behind it, but for me, again, it's always going to be something where trust your own palate, be objective about it. Don't let the social media cloud your vision, and do side by side. It's always interesting for me. I've done it with a lot of friends where I'll have the same strain, maybe different jars or whatever, and just cure it up, and then one fresh press, and be like, let's do a blind taste test. I'm gonna give you a dab first. I'm not gonna tell you which is which.
Yeah.
And then give you a second dab. Which one do you like better? And it's been interesting with me, at least from what I've seen. The majority of people prefer the fresh press in the flavor department over the cold cure.
Nice, dude.
And stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
Flavor's subjective. Some people like vanilla, some people like chocolate. And that's what makes judging quality so hard, because there isn't some type of relevant data point or something there to judge and stuff, or there isn't that objective body like I was talking about earlier. Yeah. A lot of it's just who has the loudest opinion. For sure.
And that's why proper doinks contests and their format works, because they'll even smoke strains they hate. So flavors out, like the flavor profiles out, flavors in. Yeah. The strength and longevity and purity of the flavor, that's in their competition, but the actual flavor of the terps is out. And then also the effects are out, because that's also subjective, because what gets me super high might not get you super high. You know what I'm saying? Because we all have a different endocannabinoid system that receives these cannabinoids differently. You know what I mean?
All day. So. And also, I think we all smoke so much, too, that it's hard to know, like, what provided what element of your high or your stoned and stuff. It's like,
for sure.
It's like, very rarely for me, this is not my first, when I'm judging something, it's not my first time smoking of the day and shit like that. So I'm already have a little bit of something going on.
That
so
too.
I totally agree. Again, I think when it comes to the industry right now, these guys are leading the way at trying to take a really objective approach
100%.
and trying to break it down into things 100%. That are tangible. It's like smokability, when you talk about the word, it doesn't mean a lot to people, but when you listen to what they have to say about it, and when they break down the different elements about the smoothness and the depth of profile and nuance and shit like that, it starts to bring it to a meaningful way to the consumer, where now it makes it tangible. Now it makes it meaningful, and something where somebody's like, oh, I get these qualitative components, or I can be a judge of quality without having to listen to keywords like terps or like THC.
For sure. And then you do what you said, what you did with your friends in the blind taste test, the side-by-side. I didn't do side-by-side joints until I met proper doinks, you know what I'm saying? And that's the reason you're smoking that right now. I did a side-by-side with Fugazi and Georgia Pie Skittles. When Georgia Pie Skittles first came out, nobody really had it. I had to choose one or two for my brand.
All day.
And I was like, yo, I could smoke that every day. I couldn't smoke GPZ every day.
100%.
And here we are.
I think.
Because it was side-by-side with actually Adam from Proper and Jordan from Blueprint. We both smoked them together, and we all agreed that was a daily smoker.
I think doing stuff like that's what separates the operators that are going to survive compared to a lot of people that are going to struggle in this market, is being able to take objective approach to your product and be able to judge in a way, understanding that somebody has a very small budget every week to be able to go into a dispensary, if they're going to shop in the rec, and buy your product. And you got to understand what you're up against and stuff. That there's obviously, like we talked about earlier, expectation of consistency, but also there's a lot of options. And so you got to really take an objective look, like, how is this smoking, not only compared to maybe the 2 or 3 samples out there, but I just smoked fucking Ryan shit the other day, and that shit was tough. Like, I need to think about that and that option out there, and like all these other people that are friends and other people in the industry and stuff. And so that's one thing that I really try to pride ourselves on, is taking that objective look, where we have a budget every month, and I go in and I get a bunch of traditional work. I go get a bunch of different rec market brands, and I put them out on the table and take that look with everybody and say, hey, is this it or not? Excuse me.
Yeah.
And so, taking that objective approach and being like, hey, I want my community to compete. And if I'm not just compete in I would compete in the traditional. So if somebody opens up a jar community or call you, they go, damn, I could have spent some of that money on my favorite traditional producer and stuff, but I'm glad I didn't. Or this competes in a meaningful way and shit. I made the great choice. Because one thing you learn, especially when it comes into rosin, flower, sometimes you get a little bit more of a revolving rate. But when somebody comes in to buy rec rosin, they're usually there to buy it for the week. And so it's usually not just a bad experience for that day. That whole week, they're going to sit there and be like, God damn that ginger. Why the fuck did I buy this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew I should have got whatever else, or you know what I'm saying? So I always think of that. I'm a consumer first.
God damn
I
that
smoke
ginger.
a lot of hash. You know what I'm saying? Like that, And so it's like, I think about that, and it's like, I don't want anybody to ever feel that way. I want to be extremely consistent and want to make sure that the quality competes not only with the rec, but with what's out there today, knowing the traditional is the biggest element.
For sure. I feel it, man. So what's the next 5 to 10 years look like for you, big dog? What's on the horizon for Kalya?
Man.
Any out-of-state plays, out-of-country plays? What's shaking?
Yes, sir. So as the market's evolving, we're trying to evolve with it. And kind of our first step was with that was going up to Oregon. We opened our Oregon location about 2 years, almost 3 years ago now. Okay. And while doing that, that was our first jump in getting out of state. One of my biggest fears with it is, our brand is strong, but it's not because our marketing is necessarily the best. The marketing is like being a couple of our friends. Shout out David Baldini, my boy Films and shit. I'm just trying to throw stuff against the wall and do stuff that we think is fun and that we would enjoy. But it's not like our brand comes from great marketing. So when we go to different states, our play necessarily doesn't come from just licensing the brand and having great perception around the brand. For us, where we've put in our buckets or in the innovation is within the genetics and within our technologies, or our manufacturing technologies. That's what I say is that when you look at trying to add value to the market and having longevity in the market, there's 3 main buckets that you can go and try to pursue innovation in. There's perception, which is probably one of the strongest. You look at bottles of water, what's the difference between Liquid Death and Crystal Geyser? Maybe some elements of quality with mineral content compared to RO or whatever have you and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's really perception. It's marketing and perception. And that's what, different brands and like we're sitting here and stuff like that. It's a beautiful perception and stuff. Then there's the marketing, there's the manufacturing side. That's where we've really owned in a lot of our aspects is, hey, how fast can we innovate and slice the hair and make it 1 or 2% efficient in these different categories to hopefully make the next level hash, that better hash.
No doubt.
At scale. And then the last part's the genetics, what stems it all, the different flavor profiles that can, all this, they're not necessarily separate. There's an ecosystem within it where you have great perception with great genetics. You know what I'm saying? You have something with sushi and Tenko where you have a monster. You know what I'm saying? So, and when you nail all 3, you'll be unbeatable type deal and stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
sushi's fucking, they're nuts. Dude. Tenko's crazy.
Shout out.
Like, I think like we all, I would imagine we all look up to them for marketing. Like it couldn't get any cleaner. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like, their marketing is so fucking clean, dog.
We talk, next level. When you think about the only other people that I think about marketing in any type of level, and it's just a way different spin on things, is Puffco when it comes to their commercials. The commercials Puffco put out are wild as fuck.
High quality.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just
They're so emotional, bro.
The one about
Great
like
topics.
Welcome Home about and stuff like that, that hit
The
hard for
Christmas
me.
one?
Yeah, that hit
was crazy.
Yeah, that hit hard for me, bro. Coming from a family where they didn't necessarily accept it like that and stuff, that hit home for me. So they do a great job as well. But no, Tenko, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to perception building, I don't know much better. And so I can't think of one better
That's
right now.
another one's elusive brands.
Yeah.
I just now figured out what Stacks look like. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
And he's done a great job with that.
Yes.
And so for us, when it comes to out of state, I'm like, it's not necessarily a licensing deal for us. We need to bring our genetics. One thing I kind of touched on a little bit is we opened up a grow. It's 175,000 square feet down in Monterey County.
Oh, shit.
So like that, it's all living soil. It's 10 foot wide, 180 foot long beds.
Okay.
We have a nursery there too. And so what that allows us to do is, one, it allows us to guarantee our supply chain. And so we don't have to go out there and hunt down different farms, try to vet them out on different genetics, and then worry about our competitors either trying to offer them a better price than us and trying to undercut us, or for them to say, hey, well, I have the genetics now and stuff. I can just do it myself and stuff. And no offense to anybody that's done that. I wish them all the best. It's just for our health of our business, it wasn't sustainable. And so it's like we needed to complete the vertical for us. We needed to complete the cycle. And so we got into this grow with my buddy Patrick. Alien Labs and shit like that.
Just about to ask you who's cultivating for you guys.
Yeah, it's my buddy Patrick, and now while he's going out to New York, which I'll talk about here in a sec, it's his right-hand man and prodigy, a guy named Drew, who is just the salt of the earth. This dude, I couldn't be more grateful for these guys to be a part of our team. Patrick, Drew, and Joe, that's what makes Kalya run. If we have any success in this industry, they are the head of it. I'm just lucky enough to be along for the ride. And so really, again, Drew and Patrick have a great understanding of organic cultivation, like I was talking about the Dr. Lane, all that type of deal. And so they can now power all of our needs in California. At the same time, we have the space to hunt genetics.
Ooh,
if you know, a lot of these different genetics companies, good friends of mine, one of their biggest problems is space. They need trusted space where they can hand people a cut and know that they're going to get back the shit without having to worry about no bullshit or whatever and stuff. And so we can offer that in spades, as well as a lot of our own collection that me and Patrick, who's been growing for 25 years, and all the stuff we've collected throughout our time and stuff, we can go and pop that and start hunting through that. So for the last year or so, we've been hunting through a few thousand seeds, found a bunch of awesome different flavors. Some of them we've already rolled out to the market. Some of them we're about to, and really excited about that. And so that's one of our buckets. Our other bucket is in our manufacturing, like I talked about earlier. So for us to go out to these different states, we need the trust that these buckets can be protected. Our technology or whatever we think makes us special is going to be protected, and as well be consistent to what we're known as. Because we're not known being this great perception of marketer. We're known as having great quality and being consistent about it. And so for us, it's a different challenge going out to different other states than most people or most different brands who can just sit there and want to sign away their name and stuff, put a bunch of great marketing effort, and then trust in their partner to do the right thing. We're so anal retentive because we know our pace of our innovation is what sets us apart, that we need to go translate that over in these different opportunities.
Got you. So it's a slower rollout.
Exactly. And so for like Oregon, it was easy because my brother and his partner were there. It's my family and shit like that. I mean,
oh no shit, you got a brother in the business too?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And so man.
My brother, he went to University of Oregon, got an econ degree out there. I think a minor in organic chemistry. Brilliant dude. His partner, another vet in the game, huge into oak chemistry. Again, monsters in the game when it comes to just their background knowledge, the fundamental aspects of what makes great hash and great genetics. And so it was an easy play. I mean, doing business with your family is always nerve-wracking. You know, it's like you never know if it's going to 100% work out. But luckily, you know, I took that leap of faith and it's worked out great. And
good,
so,
salute.
Again, Oregon it was easy because of the proximity of the space to go check on Oregon to make sure that the quality was right, make sure it met our perception, our intent up there. And so now we're just opening up New York. And so my brother, his partner Will be running Oregon with another guy over there that we have on the team named Braden. Shout out Braden, monster in the game. He leads up our sales and our a lot of that front office type of work there. So my brother's moved out to Canastota, right next to Syracuse up there. And
oh, shit. Okay. I know that area.
Yeah, he's got a real good buddy, Mikola, a Ukrainian guy and stuff, who's got a license out there that we teamed up with. And so we have manufacturing and distribution as well as cultivation. So we have 8,000 square feet of sealed depth that has greenhouses that can handle the snow load of upstate New York.
Oh, shit.
And then we also have over an acre of outdoor cultivation that we're trying to push into the opportunity of live resin and different types of channels there's really nothing out there in the New York rec market.
Yeah, no, there's not.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of supply, and there's a lot of retailers opening up and they're looking for something to put on the shelf. There's nothing there.
Which is a very interesting position and ratio. You know what I'm saying? Usually meanwhile in California.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
we got tons of production.
Yeah, we are
not enough outlets. Well, there's outlets, but they ain't all through the stores.
No, the outlets again. Our ability over here to collect on our cash out here and everything like that within the rec outlets is limited. Out there, it's simple supply and demand because there isn't a lot of rec market and stuff. Where I put this out.
All right here, boss.
My bad. But fucking, because there isn't a huge amount of producers on the rec market, and it's mainly retailers.
Right.
The prices are really high, and they're
getting tickets.
Yeah, and so there's a huge demand, and so for us, I don't really care. Profitability isn't the center of the objective. It's really to establish ourselves as having high quality products in these different ranges, so we can introduce somebody into the world of our fucking portfolio. Because for us, we want somebody. We know the average smoker nowadays, they aren't like a lot of us when we grew up in the industry. A lot of people that I talked to's first exposure to cannabis was with flour, a Dutch, a Swisher Sweet in a bowl and shit like that.
Good old wholesome ways of smoking weed, you know what I'm
exactly, 100%. And a lot of this, a lot of the newer generation that's coming into cannabis, their first experience is smart carts, Mario Karts, brass knuckles. You know, a lot of those brands, if they weren't the real, the fakes, a lot of us were moving back in the day, or new friends that were, if you weren't doing it yourself, that deal, you know, there's a lot of those different established brands, and so they've been vetted on these artificial flavors. That's why you've seen infused flower do well and these different things. They actually don't necessarily mind it per se.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
100%. And so
I understand it.
So for us, we realized two things. One, it's a great opportunity if we can go into these SKUs like a super high-end live resin, do no CRC, straight whole plant, fresh frozen, the stream nugs that we would wash and do Skittles and stuff like that. It's a great way to offer some type of quality at a low price point that's accessible to somebody that maybe couldn't afford it.
Yeah, man.
And then again, just like on that same coin with the distillate, it gets them into...
distillate's going crazy out there.
Yeah, 100%. And it gets them into our house of brands. You know what I'm saying? So we can have them dip in, and within the demand because of that.
Don't be too cool for that out there. I'm telling you, bro.
Oh, I understand.
You're a heady ass brand, but don't be too cool for that. Don't.
Again, it may not be under the Kalya brand, but it'll be under our network. You know what I'm saying? And I understand, and there's a lot of people that would love to talk down on distillate, a lot of OGs in the game and shit. But for me, what I've realized, and I mentioned a little bit about it earlier, it is about leverage in the industry. It's about relationships, perception, and leverage.
It's about making money.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a business.
And that's the thing is you have to have
a demand for it.
If you don't have cash flow, it's hard for you to innovate. It's hard for you to survive on that end. But at the same time, when I talk about leverage, it says, hey, this is what's happening in California. And it's going to happen to every state and shit like that. It happens in every industry. There is one of the larger distributors that control around 25+% of all products distributed in California. And they'll come to a dispensary and they'll say, hey, we just got some new rosin brands on our portfolio. Can you pick them up? And the dispensary buyer hopefully will say like, oh, no, you know, we got Kalya and community going on. I like Marc, blah, blah, blah. And they'll be like, a lot of this big distributor will say, hey, I like Marc too. You know, he's a nice little ginger, whatever. But at the end of the day, I have 25% of your shelf. And if you don't pick up my two little brands of rosin, well, 25% just got a little bit more painful for you. And can you manage that? And as much as they may love you as a person and love who you are and love what you stand for as a brand and the quality, at the end of the day, they have to make an objective decision for their business, for the employees that are riding with them and shit. And can they really sacrifice at a time when the market's hurting 25% or 15 or 10, whatever these big distributors control, getting disrupted like that? They can't. In most cases, there's some loyalty out there, but it's really going to hurt a lot of the small guys. So for us, I realize is we have to widen out. We need to go out and dominate in these different SKUs because I know we come from the culture. I know how to make 99.9% liquid diamonds or whatever you want to call it and stuff. I know how to make these higher quality SKUs, live resin that tastes like fire, you know, actually tastes like the strain. It doesn't taste like funky bullshit, you know.
For sure.
We know how to deal with those things. So it's like, hey, let's go establish ourselves in these different markets, widen ourselves out, bring some of our friends in because we know we can't do it ourselves. And there's a lot of people from the traditional market that would love to participate and are apprehensive. They don't want to get screwed over. There's a lot of predatory investors out there that say, oh, I invest in people, I invest in brands, I don't care about your numbers. It's always about the fucking numbers. Always, especially with those types of people and shit like that. And so it's like, hey, let's build an opportunity for all of us to transition, participate, and build that. That's the foundation I'm talking about. You know, when a lot of people say those types of words, it doesn't mean a lot. That's the foundation I'm talking about, is widen ourselves out so we have leverage in the market so we can all participate and all survive and we don't get stomped out by the bigger distributors of the world and you know, these bigger brands.
Yeah.
And so
that's exciting. You guys are going out there. I'm happy to hear that. And you have a good plan.
Come on,
Yeah,
yeah.
good plan.
New York is going to be fun, and
New York is gonna be fun.
maybe there's some opportunities for us to collaborate or some
Come
of the
on, man.
friends and
Come
shit.
on,
Come on,
bro.
bro. Let's
Come
do
on,
some
man.
shit out there. You know,
Like, we all gotta eat together, bro.
that's what I'm about.
You know.
I want everybody, if you are watching this right now, like I said, I'm very grateful for anybody and everybody that's ridden with us. If you ever see me out there, I'm down to sesh. I enjoy the community. I'm grateful to be here. As like I said, coming from Oregon into California, one thing I craved is acceptance. Shit like that, you know, it's like you want to be accepted by people and shit. So it's like the thing I'm grateful for in this industry is like I get accepted in some types of ways, and I've had a lot of great moments with people from all over the world, from different walks of life, just because of one thing, because we smoke weed, and there's some common ground there that we can break bread with and shit. And so it's like this is like I said before, this is our opportunity to further that, build that foundation. And for me, it's about widening out and having an opportunity for everybody to come play. Try your best, and if you have the game to be able to build your perception or have some innovation in the market, come try your best.
Hell yeah. I respect that. Good answer, friend.
Come on.
Hell yeah. What do you know that the industry should know, or what you calling bullshit on out there that you're seeing in the game right now?
Not trying to call anything out too directly, but a couple things. One thing that bums me out, like I said, because there is no qualitative scale out there. There's nothing relative for people to grasp or that's tangible. There's a lot of bad quality product that's being propped up as luxury or connoisseur type of brands or goods. And again, I get everybody has their own play and stuff like that, but what annoys me about it is because there isn't that scale, it hurts the perception for everybody trying to do something great. Is when you try to establish yourself as this high-end brand and you put out sub-tier product, like I said, not only does it hurt somebody's perception against you, but as anybody trying to market themselves at that price point, they're going to start to question those individual brands unless they've had previous experiences with them.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so in a time where the market is getting compressed and there isn't a lot of education, again, that's one thing that's like bummer to see, you know, and kind of playing on that type of thing. It all goes back to education. It's really, you see it in different industries. It's like mushrooms and shit. Or if you ever have friends that talk about psychedelics and powders and shit like that, they always, oh, I got the 200 mic or Peruvian. Just tell me it's fire now. Whatever. That's what I'm using. I'm a little psychedelic warrior once in a while. It was flower powder for me, but it's like, just tell me it's fire. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about half the goddamn time. It's all this pseudo bro science and shit like that, you know. And you've seen a little bit with cannabis and stuff. And just you know, everybody has their own little like twist inside.
We be high freestyling and shit.
No,
you know.
100%, dude. And so, again, for me, you know, I know this. I just want to have something where it's communal and stuff. And the other part I'll say about this industry that's tough is the amount of the people that are cutting at the legs, and the amount of the people that are. You'll go to these events and everybody will be very jobless and happy-go-lucky type deal and stuff, but there's just a lot of animosity, and you're seeing some great friendships that have been around for years kind of disintegrate, especially over these like last 6 months, 8 months. There's been a lot of fighting on all these platforms and shit like that. Bro. I'm like, I mean, and for what? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, again, maybe some attention on Instagram or whatever, but most of it seems really pointless to me, and it seems really petty, and I just would appreciate it if everybody tried to make an attempt. I'm sure we've all enjoyed each other's company at one point to another. I mean, it's like, let's focus on things like that. You know,
it's funny. Sticker Farmer said the other day, he's like, you know what, guys? If we just stop fighting at the events, I bet you a lot more girls would come. You know what I'm saying?
That?
It's like 1-to-10 ratio right now. You know what I'm saying?
At least, yeah.
Like, that's fucking funny.
Oh, at least 100%, dude. He knows knows what's up.
Man, handle your business, but maybe catch him in the parking lot, bro. Like,
yeah, it's.
You know what I mean? You don't gotta do it at the table, bro. You know
exactly. That's just again.
I like a good fight, and you know some of these fights were justified that I seen. Like I heard the story, I was like, huh?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
What are you gonna do? But at the end of the day, bro, it is a bad look. It's a bad look.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Where
the fuck is security, bro? What the fuck is it?
A few of those, I'm like, whoa!
It's not like they got guns and shit. They're just fighting. What the fuck? Whole ass brawls.
Of course, making our industry look so great. You know,
what are you gonna do?
All day. I think for me, when it comes to all that too, the biggest bummer about it, handle your business. And if people have wronged you and shit like that, whatever you think you need to get at your justification and shit like that and stuff. But the other thing that most people don't come into consideration is like, we don't have a lot of cannabis events left. There's not a lot of great cannabis events left. If you haven't seen, it's like, a lot of them are dying off.
Yeah, that's
not trying to name
it's
so
true.
it's like, and part of that too is like we're seeing the culture where everybody sees it and talks about it. It's dying off. Well, if we want it to survive, it doesn't look great to people that would want to potentially join it.
No doubt.
See this type
It's
of
intimidating
and shit like that. And when you see like some of the events, like for example, one of the larger events in California a couple of years ago, all you saw was about a fight and a knocked over cart, all that.
Yeah,
What I'm
no
talking
doubt. I know what you're talking
And
about.
again, whatever the people, I like them both and shit. I've had great times with all those guys and shit. And so one, it was sad to see them fight, and two, it was sad to see that every post about that event, instead of all the glass blowing village and all the amazing things that were there and stuff like that, you didn't see one post.
Definitely didn't remember it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the thing that it takes away from opportunities for the community to shine, for us to come together and and have a good time, as well as putting off a good representation of ourselves, that why we deserve to still be at the table.
Yeah,
So
that's a fact, bro.
This industry.
Now we're gonna take it to your top 3 strains of all time. We're gonna go one old school, one new school, and one desert island strain you stuck on the island with for the rest of your life.
I'd say for the new school, it's easy for me. I'm Skittles. I'm a Z whore through and through since I've seen it in the inception to ourselves. I mean, we run a shit ton of Skittles. Last year, we did almost 40,000 grams of packaged Skittles. Fresh Press, one of the larger releases, I think, in the game, I would say.
Yeah.
And shit like that. And that was over the year. We do like multi 2,000, 3,000 gram releases and shit. But I'm a Z whore. And so like that. I am very, very basic when it comes to new shit like that.
No shame my game.
And one of the things I was just talking about with some friends is Z was one of the last strains that I could think of where I hit it and I didn't understand or know exactly what some type of the lineage of the parents are. Yeah. Every strain that I've had since, you can sit there and you smoke and you can be like, oh, there's a little candy, there's a gelato influence there, there's something there. You can probably pick out some of the parents or the lineage in some type of way. Skittles was the last strain I can really think of where I hit it and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
Like, this is different. This is different. Facts. So Z, probably for me, that's probably number one. Might even be my island strain. Old school. Okay. I gotta throw it back to my childhood and nostalgia and the perps and stuff. Maybe if it's not one of those perps, Purple Urkel, the GDP when it's at its best, Grape Ape. Just give me that real deal perp. That like real purple shit, that grape. You don't see it anymore. You see candies and like you see different shit. The grape gas is like kind of grapey, but it's not like you know what I'm saying. It's not like that real perp and shit like that. If you were around or you got exposed to, exactly to what I'm talking about. Yep. So that old school, I love gases too. Don't get me wrong. Like some really good OG and headbands and sours are up there, but purple will probably have to take the cake for the OG classic type of strains, and then.
I respect it.
Island, I know it.
Just do it, bro.
Yeah, I have to say Z. Yeah, that's it. I have to say it. I would like to be creative and shit like that, or have some great other answer and stuff. But time and time again, for those that don't get high off Z, sometimes I'd say maybe try a different Z, because at least from my buddy Patrick and Drew, shout out, we consistently yield over 4%. Which is not most hash makers are usually able to get that consistently. 2, it greases in the freezer at a -10 to -18 degrees. It'll sit there and grease immediately. It's that resinous. And 3, it smacks the shit out of me. So
nice.
Maybe I'm just spoiled and
I haven't
biased.
tried some of your Z in a while. I gotta try it.
Well, quality control. I got a batch coming in 2 weeks. So I'll have a little bit with your name on it. Come on, brother.
My man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
come on.
dog.
Only one way to find out for sure.
Only one way to find out.
Yes, sir.
Yo, but that's crazy because my brain always goes flower when we're talking strains, but you were clearly talking about rosin or fresh press hash. It does the same thing for me, bro. The Z at certain facilities, certain ones of my grow partners, I'll get more high off their Z. Like for example, Cadre Verde. Their Z gets me high as fuck.
Come on.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a weird thing, man.
Yeah, I have theory behind it and shit, but again,
interesting things.
I don't got the knowledge like a few people on these platforms to really dissect it in a scientific way. I got just like bro science theory behind why.
No doubt.
It's shit, but when you find that good batch of that Z.
When you know, you know. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that's what we're all hunting for. If you could bring back a strain, what would it be?
Up there and probably Marijuana from Sandy Seeds.
Okay.
Back in the day, really unique, really fire.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably a strain I miss and I just don't see now. There's a lot of Marijuana OG that still is kept around SoCal, but not really the Marijuana. Really, the KC36. That's a lie. Marijuana is number 2. I take it back. The original KC36.
What's KC mean?
So Casey is off of Casey Jones.
Casey.
Yeah,
Casey.
like it's from Amsterdam, and basically somebody up at CCA, I won't say who, they smuggled back some seeds for John, who's now Higher Ground Cannabis. He popped them all, and one of the strains was KC36, and to this day, if you know. For real hash makers that have been around in the industry, real KC36 and the original Durban Sherbet from the Emerald Cup days, those are in the pantheon of just those elusive strains that had incredible profiles and stuff. The KC36 was like strawberry jam and citrus marmalade. It was incredible. I'm telling you, a lot of hash makers would say back in the day, the only strain that would compete versus Z was KC36.
No, and that's gone.
Gone. Now, the closest we got is the Starburst 36, which
that shit's crazy.
100%. When I saw 710 Labs hunt, though, they went more towards the Starburst direction, I realized.
Yeah.
And so we hunted a shit ton of seeds, and I went heavy. I went and found the heaviest KC36, and so that's what we call our Cocoa Plum.
Okay.
Cocoa Plum is named after an island and resort in Belize, which is named after a small little fruit that runs around the Caribbean and shit. And so my buddy Patrick, his uncle, came to Belize in the 70s and cashed in on when the trade embargoes got lifted in commercial agriculture. And so he took some of that money and he opened up resorts out in Belize. He has a few of them. One just opened up called Montaquí, but his flagship for the longest time was called Cocoa Plum. And by TripAdvisor, because TripAdvisor, like on the West Coast, Yelp is huge, but you go to Europe and shit like that, TripAdvisor is like the main review platform.
Okay.
TripAdvisor has it as like in the top 5 island resorts in the world. And so it's this really cool ass fucking place, and it's tropical. When I think of KC36, it marmalade, all this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just really a tropical strain and stuff. So reminds us of Cocoa Plum a little bit, and also we're trying to set up a little special giveaway contest where we might have something coming soon with the Cocoa Plum and a little trip out there.
Nice,
and shit.
dude.
So
Belize is dope. I've been there.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, Belize is dope, bro. I love that place.
Beautiful little country,
right?
It
is. Great people. Money doubles up right away.
Come on, bro.
You know what I'm saying? It's easy to do the math, too. Just times everything by 2. It's so easy.
Yeah.
I can use my dollars.
All day. It's a lot of English speaking, too. So if you're not...
English or Spanish, bro, you good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be super fluent, shit like that to get around.
But, yo, Starburst 36 is my cheat code for hash holes. I'm not using anything else. I did that 2 hash hole events ago. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I did it with Strawberry Z or Zeppelis or Strawberry Zeppelis or AKA Zlushi. Shout to Exotics. Bro, that combo was stupid. And I did it with Fugazi. And then last event I did it with Sweet Gabagool and Fugazi with the Starburst. I just did all Starburst 36. I'm like, bro, this is undefeated, bro. It's better than Z. Bro. In rosin form in a hash hole, I'm like, that's all I'm doing.
It's amazing. I'm telling you, what I'm excited for is John released this last winter for whoever got some of those packs, lucky dogs. But he released some of the KC36 onto the Z that he's been holding onto before he lost the KC and had to get it back with the SB36.
Okay.
And shit. And so this is another attempt at trying to get super close to the KC36 and shit. So I got a couple
love that shit, bro. That's the coolest part of the game for me, man. That this hunt for the flavors in the breeding world. That's just so dope. That's even happening.
Oh man,
you know?
I'm telling you, it is. So yeah, it's one of my favorite things. Besides showing people some amazing hash, that's got to be right up there and shit. Is hunting through and finding new genetics. We just went through an awesome hunt where we found this grape gas times honey banana.
Oh shit, that sounds like it would go really well together.
Unreal. I'm not even a banana fan like that and stuff. We still hunt bananas and shit because I realize, hey, like you're talking about, I'm not every palate. And I know there's people, I have friends out there that love bananas. So just because I don't like bananas, I still need to take an objective approach and try to grade the best banana we can and shit. And so we did this honey banana grape gas. Incredible. And next time you see old Capetta, ask him about that shit.
I will.
I'm telling you, he is on it. It is that shit right now.
Hell
so
yeah.
That we ran some crazy shit from Symbiotic. Surprisingly, we ran the Champagne times Z and the Champagne times Rainbow Belts.
Okay.
I naturally thought the Z was going to do better with the cross. I like the Z trips more. The Rainbow Belts is disgusting with it. It is so good. I'm really excited to show you some of that.
Sometimes Belts expresses, bro.
It just really helps smooth out the mimosa aspect of the champagne, where mimosa has the awesome citrus elements, but sometimes it's really floral, and it has those aspects that maybe aren't as sought after in hash and shit like that.
For sure.
And so what it really did is just smooth those out, made it really creamy, brought some of the little some of those little Z elements in there and shit like that. It's awesome, bro. Tight. Some of the best I've ever had from Symbiotic.
Tight.
Like that, so.
I gotta bring my ass to Santa Rosa and we'll go do a dinner and just get me dabbed the fuck out, bro.
Come on, a little quality control, little flight out there.
Yeah, you've been telling me to come out, dude. I gotta take the trip, bro.
A little food and shit.
Yeah,
good
you guys got good food. Yeah, good pizza. You guys got good Italian food out there. I went to a nice Italian spot out there. Don't remember where. Yes, I could probably find it if I was out there. But yeah, that's cool.
You got a few. And then, do you drink wine?
I don't, but I will. You know, I don't really drink like that, but I'll drink some wine.
I don't.
For sure.
I went through a period where part of the my weight that I gained was from drinking, going out to Austin all the time. It's a drinking culture in the South. No doubt. And shit. But
I used to drink a lot.
Man, I went through a period where I didn't at all for a few years and shit. And now I'm starting to, and it's not in the attempt to get drunk, but I'm starting to get into wine because I understand the parallels now of high-end wine and high-end hash. And or high-end flour, for example. And we're all facing the same problem where they love to throw the stat around. The average person that drinks a bottle of wine buys a bottle that's $12.99 or less.
Okay.
And so it's just like in cannabis where the average consumer is buying a distillate cart right now or is buying a lower level brand. So how do we get somebody to care about an Opus One or a William Sellum or some of these higher end brands and shit? And so they are facing that same issue. And I've realized most people, just like when it comes to cannabis, they haven't smoked enough to understand some of the nuances and differences.
There you go. That's me.
Yeah.
I'm still drinking mids.
And so I tell people, it's like, most people don't like wine because they haven't had a great bottle and they don't understand the nuances between a great bottle and a good bottle. Most good bottles or whatever mid-tier stuff, it's a little harsh. It's hard to drink. I mean, when you get a great bottle, it's silky. It's complex grape juice. I tell people,
really,
I'll show you one.
Show
bro.
me the light.
And
kid.
again, we'll just a little pour. I'm not trying to get you faded and stuff like that. But it's really what I realize is like, just like hash or good flowers, smokable art. This is drinkable art.
Okay, cool.
Like that. There's a lot of nuances and depths and profiles. You'll be like, holy shit, I understand.
See, I'm into that. I just need somebody to walk me through it.
100%, bro. That's where I'm going down the same path right now. And so I'm like, holy shit, like now when I want to do a big pairing and stuff, it'd be cool to have a little 1 ounce pour, something just real light and shit like that.
Yeah.
To understand the art between how the nuance and layers of the drink and how the smoke and how the smoke, the smokability factor of that compared with the flavors of the food all kind of create this ecosystem together and shit like that. And so, again, it's opened my eyes. And I'm not ever encourage anybody. I'm not really big into alcohol to get drunk. As many great times as I've had on alcohol, some of the biggest fights with the people I care about the most have also been drunk and shit like that. And so I tend to stay away nowadays. Same. But when it comes to appreciating the art and the craftsmanship behind a great bottle of wine, again, I think there's a lot to learn from the industry. And so the cannabis could translate to that type of deal. Because the other thing I'd point out is a batch of wine that's considered small is like 1,200 cases, 800 cases. There's 12 bottles per case. So you're talking 8,000, 12,000 units. For us, if I'm releasing 1,000 grams or 2,000 grams of hash at a time, that's a huge batch. Most people are a few hundred grams.
No doubt.
So these wineries have understood on how to educate people on enough people that 12,000 people would want to buy something that's not $12.99 but $100.
Got you.
And so there's a lot of strategy behind that, and there's a lot of perception. And so for us, there could be some really valuable insight to learn. And I think from both sides of the industry, their industry can learn from us in the way we market.
Definitely.
And stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to figure out a way. I wanted to do this. I was talking with Ted and the crew about doing a little quarterly event where we bring a bunch of heads together and shit. Just have some insane bottles. Not that we're here, just a little pour of each. We're all smoking fire, shoot the shit, little network, get together, good little bite.
I hope I get that phone call.
Oh, you're going to be on that list, brother. You better guarantee it. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
So, again, another opportunity to bring everybody together.
Yeah, for sure. That's what's up, man. Before we get up out of here, one last final question. If you could go to the young you, the day before you hopped off the porch and jumped into the game, what advice would you give you?
I would say trust in your gut. Understand that the same kindness you show to people won't always be returned to you. And stuff. And so don't ever have an expectation just because you've done a lot for somebody that they're ever going to return that favor. And just appreciate who they are. And if most people are telling you that you're doing the wrong thing, you're usually doing the right. Because I know there's a lot of people that told me to not do this and to do something else. My family, a lot of friends, and shit like that. And again, sometimes you got to listen to your instinct and your gut, and obviously make sure you're in your heart you're doing the right thing and you've done your due diligence. That your integrity's there, but listen to your gut on this shit.
Hell yeah, right on, brother.
Come on.
Good shit, man.
Yes, sir.
You're wise beyond your years, my friend.
I'm just lucky to be here.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt. You got a good head on your shoulders, man. Where can people find you? How can people find you? Let the people know.
So you can find me at Kalya.Marc at Instagram, KalyaExtracts.com, thehashstore.com, Community Canna on Instagram, Rosin Raiders, Kalya, New York, in about a bunch of little stores up and down the state of California, and hopefully at your local sash. If you ever see a big gingers, little gap teeth, please come on by and take a dab with me. Again, I'm grateful for everybody that supported the dream, kept us to this point, or got us to this point, and kept us alive. I'm very, very appreciative, and I hope to return the favor to everybody that's helped us along the way.
Beautiful, man. That's good pizza, brother.
Come on, boss.
Hell yeah, man. You already know. Kalya, good pizza. Thank you for all our subscribers on YouTube. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. Everybody on the Patreon that supports us, thank you. Thank you to all our sponsors. We appreciate y'all, man. This would not go down without y'all. We'll see y'all soon, man. Peace, love, good pizza. We up out of here. And you make sure you catch us at Cookies Harrison, New Jersey, the only place in Jersey where you can get good pizza.